right, welcome to the Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 Almont Board of Education work session, and we will begin at 6:02 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Burrow, will you do roll call, please?
Absolutely. Mr. Eckert?
Here.
Mr. Wade? Mr. Terries?
Here. I'll be late.
Ms. Ferguson?
Here.
Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. Burrow here. Ms. Smith?
Here.
We have 6 present.
Adoption of the agenda. Any additions, Mrs. Adler?
Yes, we do have additions. Under my communications, letter F will become our student enrollment update, and letter G will be a quick sound system update. Just want to get some information to the board, so please be adding those. Yes, of course. So I'll be adding letter F, student enrollment update, and letter G, sound system update.
I got that.
Mm-hmm.
Any deletions?
No deletion, I'm sorry, no, it's more, I'm sorry, no deletions, it's more under the amendments.
Okay, what amendment?
Okay, so for amendment, for C number 4, for contract approvals, I just wanted to update the board and let you know that Solient contract is still under legal review, so we're not able to move forward with that discussion or recommendation tonight. And then C number 8, the donation approval, just looking to, we made a revision in the policy number there to update it to reflect that the policy is 9700.01, so the policy number has been revised. So you'll have those 2 sheets in front of you with those changes.
Thank you. Okay, this will bring us to our first questions and comments from the audience. This is pertaining to anything on the agenda. Would anybody like to be recognized at this time? Hearing none. We will go to communication.
Okay, first up, we have our summer school data review here with our lead teacher from summer school, Mrs. Walker.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
First off, I wanted to say thank you to the faculty and the para-educators I have listed. We had a great summer school this year. Thanks to Jason too for getting keys and things like that that we needed. And our tech department, you know, the fobs and making sure that everybody can move between buildings was a hassle a little bit, especially for me because I had to be able to get into the OP and into the office. So I appreciate Jason helping me. Officer Mike did come in handy as well. One day we had a student who was ill, and mom and dad don't have a car, grandma and grandpa don't have a car, so I called my friend, Miss Kim. I'm like, I made the call, so he came and picked him up and took him home, which was really super nice of him to be able to do that. And he did take care of a few issues for us that we had. It wasn't anything too big, but I just want to give him some kudos. Football practice was over here, as you know, for a little bit, and wherever I'm at now, over there. And they were just being a bunch of boys, just being a little too loud with the trucks. It's grinding them up a little bit, you know, and so I just asked him, I go, do you think you could just hang out for a second? So, yeah, that like stopped immediately. It was quite funny. So he parked the car up into the trees. So, yeah, he had to slow it down a little bit right there for me. It's just, I just wanted to make sure, because you just don't know. Parents drop them off, and sometimes they, you know, wander too far close to the road. So he was great all summer. We had no issues with really anything else. So I just wanted to kind of give kudos to those people who were available to me if I needed them to be. Here is the attendance. As you can see, we had very good attendance in our lower grades. 7th and 8th grade was at 56, which was the lowest, but I'll get to kind of some of that in a little bit here, but, so there's some percentages for you on how many kids attended. As we know, vacations are going on, a lot of trips to, the fair to show their pig or whatever they were doing, so it fluctuated a little bit. Miss Odette was our special education teacher. She had 2 through 5, and as you know, being in the special ed program or cognitively impaired, they have their own IEPs and 504s. So she pretty much went through that and based her curriculum for all those kids in her room based on their need. There really wasn't per se something that was given to her. She went ahead and just continued on as she would throughout the school year with all of their goals and things like that. Here's Mrs. Steinhaus Kindergarten, 9 students, and as you can see, the pre and post test for sight words and number recognition. I'm just going to say Gina because I would slaughter that name. I'm sorry, Gina. But she was first grade, and as you can see, she made some nice growth as well. Where it says absent, obviously, is they were absent either one of the 2 days that we did the testing. So we don't have any post data for those students. She had reading and math, and that was the big focus this year, the 2 things that we really got into and started digging with them a little bit. So she had growth in both. Mrs. Herzog, here's hers. She had 100% growth in addition, which is fantastic. Mrs. Ruhala also showed growth. This is reading. Here's mine with Mrs. Machiniak. We had 4th and 5th graders. So the reading passage that the 4th graders read were the end of 3rd grade, beginning of 4th grade. So that's 208 words. So they made some nice growth too. And then the 5th graders that were going into 6th grade, we decided to start them at the end of 5th grade because they were on the lower spectrum. So we started them at a 5th grade lower level and advanced them as they were able to read more and more words. Math facts. They weren't exactly what we were hoping for, but there were quite a bit of absences for us. And once again, it's important that they come and that they get that one-on-one instruction. And if they're not there, I had 2 parents though that did ask for homework when they went on vacation, and I gave it to them. So, you just kind of hit or miss with that, unfortunately. Miss Cole, she had the best growth of all. She did really well. This was her first year in summer school teaching, so it was great. And Mrs. Furman and Mrs. Brown from 6th grade helped us with the math to kind of guide us to where we needed to get them to be. Mrs. Murphy had 3 students, and as you can see from the scores, she did really well. Here's kind of like my little plug, okay? As many of you don't know, I'm a child development major as well. And so when you see only 3 kids in a program, I'm really hoping that you understand that the 3 students that were in there really needed just some one-on-one support emotionally, and they needed to have that teacher I mean, she just laid it all out, positive, 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 positive. They were growing plants, they were weighing soil, they were doing all kinds of things in there. And one of the parents came through my line, because I work part-time at Kroger, I'm a cashier. And she came through my line and she said to me, I just want to thank you for summer school. She's like, Mrs. Murphy made a difference in my child's life. He's so much more positive now than he was when he got out of school, and he's matured. So I made contact with Mrs. Murphy today and asked her how things were going. She said that there's still some struggles there with himself, but she said that overall that the teachers are seeing that he's a little bit more ready and eager to maybe raise his hand, even though he may or may not know the right answer, but it's still a start. And I think that summer school, yeah, I can give you all the figures you want as far as data, but it's really important. Mental health, we have to help these kids feel good about themselves. And I think that Heather, phenomenal job in there. Phenomenal this summer. She was so good with those kids. She even took them over to the OP to read to the CI kids, and it just boosted their whole morale. And so kudos to her, not just because of her scores, but because she took the time to really engage with those three and really get something out of it for them. So that's my big positive story for the evening on that. Math, the same thing. She really, her scores were great. These are just kind of the next steps that I'd like to talk to administration about for next year. How well it went, what we can improve on. To be honest with you, I can't really say that we need to improve on really anything at this point, because the staff that we've had has done this now for many years, and we just all get along and we all just get together and we plan, and we go to the upper grade and then we go down to the lower grade, and we kind of figure out what each kid needs from when they were in third grade. Now they're going into fourth, so it's really been great. But I wanted to talk to the administration as far as just how we go about getting some more kids into the program, and as far as the data, what we saw, how we did it, what we did. So that's kind of where I'm going to end it. And plug for my cohort, Mrs. Larson. She helped me design this because, Mrs. Walker is old school, pen and paper. So she helped me do that. So I told her I'd give her a plug today. So are there any questions or concerns? It really was a great summer school. I think this is one of the best outcomes we've had since I've been doing it.
We thank you.
Yeah.
We thank you for your work.
Oh, thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a
Thank
lot
you.
of fun. We reward them by taking them to Charlie Brown's at the end of the year. That's always a big hit. We tie-dye shirts. So we do things that, yes, it is work, but we try to also get some morale going and how to, help each other. We had this whole room one day and we just paired up all the older kids with the younger kid and we all played Kahoot and we passed out candy and it was blessed. So we're really trying to teach some other skills just besides math and reading.
And just to
Yeah.
piggyback on that, Mrs. Walker,
Yeah.
full transparency, like sometimes you hear things like, oh, summer school is just for fun. To some degree, I would assume that is true through, a certain lens, that is true, that it has to be somewhat engaging and hands-on for the students to want to attend during their quote-unquote summer break.
Mm-hmm.
So I do appreciate the efforts there, and then while still continuing to, take a look, because we are looking at some of our most needy, challenging kids at risk, which I'm sure, again, part of my student achievement presentation that involves, some of that challenge too, depending on our scores and how we did, but making sure that we're eyeing both, right? We're eyeing both
Yeah.
the academic achievement, but also understanding to engage them. You are thinking outside the box to come up with those lessons that are going to, keep them coming every day. Because I know that attendance, I know you referenced that, attendance was a little bit of an issue. I know that because I was attending and going
Yeah.
and stopping by and checking in on attendance, and I would talk with the cafeteria worker, for example, 'cause she's,
Yeah.
logging everything. And so that participation ranged depending on the week, the day of the week, because families are taking vacations. So again, I know it's a unique program, but I can't thank you and the teachers enough for, spending your time as well to keep our kids engaged and to try to eliminate some of that summer slide. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I plan on going back like to the 6th grade team, hopefully this week, to kind of get an idea where the kids are that came to summer school, do they see any improvement? And once again, it's just not all academic. We have some kids who are struggling emotionally, and we just have to make sure that we take that into consideration. And I know that I do in my room especially, Miss Vaughn has walked in a few times, and when she was principal here, and was like, what is going on in here? I'm like, we're having Play-Doh time right now because they're all about losing it. So I think it's important, and the staff that we had this year understood what I was trying to get across as well, because in my presentation to them, I was like, I don't want them to be sitting the whole entire day working on a worksheet. I don't want to see that. I want to see, like you said, hands-on communication, talking about an issue. So I really do. It was really a great year.
Mrs. Smith? So how, and this is, I don't know a lot about the summer school program yet. How many kids do you see year after year after year in summer school? Or is it newer kids that are always coming in, and once they leave summer school and they're improved, they kind of stay in?
Of I don't want to say restrictions, but we do have a kind of a protocol that we have to go through. Maybe Miss Lewis or Miss Vaughn, I don't
To
know.
identify the students, is that you're speaking
Well,
of?
the students who fit the criteria to be able to come to the program.
Yeah, it's mostly at-risk students, it depends on the funding.
Yeah, the
So last year's was running through 11T, this year's 31A, so it just depends on the funding.
Yeah, I'd like to see it open, a little bit more. I did talk to Ms. Lewis today. I really would like to see if we could somehow get the kids who are right on that cusp. They're right there. They just need a little bit of a push and a little bit of a that a boy or that a girl, and to get them over into that next tier. But I don't know how that would work with the money situation, and I know that, you pay the staff and all that stuff too, and gotta run the building, keep the lights on. But I don't know, overall, I think we're doing fine with what we have right now with the at-risk, but I could see a future to where we could possibly invite more kids to come that just need that little extra push. But I can email you if you want, once I talk to the 6th grade teachers and see what they think,
Yeah,
how
that'd
they're
be great.
doing. Okay, yep, I can do that.
Well, thank you again for being here.
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Young.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Have you disconnect here?
Yeah, I don't know. There you go. Thank you again, I appreciate it, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so these are the communications that we have tonight. I know it's quite a list. Some of this is just a brief update, so not everything's an hour long. But next up, we'd like to move to a sponsorship. And so at this time, I'd like to take a moment to introduce and welcome Tim Garrity to the floor. Hi, Tim, if you don't mind standing up, and actually maybe stepping forward if you don't mind, Tim. Sure. Just so we can hear you. And Tim here is a longtime Almont resident and the proud father of 2 daughters who went through our Almont schools from kindergarten all the way to graduation. He has worked at Heidebright Chevrolet for the past 8 years, and outside of work, he's been an incredible support of our schools. Although we are just a few weeks into the school year, Tim has been already spending countless hours teaming up with our athletic director, the Almont athletic boosters, local businesses and community members to build excitement and support for our programs. So Tim, if you don't mind, I'd like to turn it over to you so you can share more information and details with us.
Sure. I guess I'm here for a couple of reasons. One, the fundraising and everything we've done and are trying to do and make sure that's done correctly. And this, I think, took off at a whole different level than we ever expected pretty quickly. So that didn't have a lot to do with me. You can thank Andrea Cruz for that, because everything she's done, it was just like all of a sudden people, you guys, are looking for donations? Yep, okay, here you go. Great example. So Ben's dinner, for instance, was a steak dinner that his family requested, and we wanted to help with that. Well, there was a lot of confusion with this whole thing. It's been a county of errors to some degree. And anyways, last minute, 30 hours before this is supposed to happen, there's a problem with the steaks. Called Stephanie at Country Smokehouse. Not only did they donate 60 of probably the best T-bones you've ever seen, or New York strips, Steve Francis himself, a graduate of Almont, loaded up a trailer, loaded up a grill, seasoned the steaks. I personally know he had to go to a funeral that day. He came himself because his entire staff was too busy to be there. That's the kind of support that's out there. I mean, it's unbelievable the things that I've seen in a short period of time. Now, this goes back to May, when I had my first conversation with Mr. Spear. This started not so much a sports thing at all, but a school's needs thing. So the first questions were, what are the needs of the school? Where would this potentially work the best? Again, just kind of shooting from the hip, our thought together was maybe it was the athletics department. Maybe this is where this could take off the best. So sometime in June, I think it was when he had to stay late because all this is happening in the morning, lunch, and late at night. Mr. Spear stayed late for some kind of a graduation thing, and we had talked that afternoon, and met with Zach as well. At that point, we had said, what are the needs of the athletic department? Again, it's turned into a little bit of a football thing, but it's not about the football thing, it's about the school in general. Starting with the athletic department, Zach had instructed, well, maybe the football program is the next thing going, so here's kind of what we're looking to do. One of the things on the list, there were several things on the list, some were very unattainable. I mean, new bleachers, that's just not going to happen, unfortunately. But there are some things that were attainable, and some things that were attainable that could also create income for the school. So those signs on the bleachers really got us thinking, well, nobody cancels those signs. And since I've been here in 2015 to go to those games, those bleachers are full now, as far as I can tell. There's 35 signs up there. There's one blank spot, probably because it was a last minute thing. So every one of those places wants to be up there. So I think what has happened is the places that started there have created a buzz and more people want to be up there. So when they said, one of the things was, and we'll start with the scoreboard sign, the scoreboard sign, we thought, well, we're not going to be able to do that. That's going to be $25,000. I went to the ownership of the dealership, and she says, let's just get a jumbo truck. These schools, we're having a hard time getting the kids home from sporting events. They don't need a jumbo truck. So it's not about somebody trying to write some kind of a check to, make something happen for their business, or even that a check's going to do much good, no matter how large it is to the school, if there's not constant income coming in, just in our opinion. So one of the thoughts was, well, these signs are working great. They want the scoreboard improved. What if we do improvement to the scoreboard and get money for it? That was the idea. As far as figures and numbers and donations and all that kind of stuff goes, there was really no agreement with Zach and I or any kind of real way to determine what is or is not fair for that. All I can do is tell you that in addition to the donation they're willing to offer, I can show you the receipts here with the sensitivity to the track situation, there can be no cherry pickers. There can be no welding going on out there, welding trucks and construction trucks pulling across that track from what I understand. So this has to be done by somebody who's willing to come out there with the proper amount of people and get up on ladders and install this sign. So I got with some different sign companies and various companies that are very reputable. Phillips Sign's been around forever. They're familiar with the school. I don't know if they've ever done any work here. Very familiar with the sign, the pictures I sent them and everything. Well, with the track sensitivity situation, they were between $3,000 and $4,000 to install that sign. Giordano's Signs, who does all the signs here for the school and the boosters, they didn't have anybody that could do it and be sensitive to the track situation. So the bottom line is now we're talking about, even with the donation, the sign's going to cost about $5,500 to get up and go. No electricity, no lights, just a simple sign on top of the scoreboard. That was a little out of reach. Well, I was able to get the installation part of that sign donated. So that brought it to a reasonable amount. Now the question's been raised, or I was informed, well, what if somebody else wants to go up there and do this or that? Well, I don't 100% know this, but I can tell you this, Heidelberg Chevrolet is not about Heidelberg Chevrolet having their sign up there forever. If Ford Motor Company wants to come in there and put up a sign, they're willing to do a donation that's bigger than ours, we'll take it down. I mean, that's just the way they are. They've been around for 52 years. It's about trying to help. So if somebody, and I've been out here trying to get donations for this advertising, I haven't seen anybody that really wants to go into that level of a donation, but if they do, there's a whole lot more that can go out on that field. I mean, right on that scoreboard, at the bottom of that scoreboard, from Country Smokehouse to the bottom, there's room for 2 more signs that are the exact same size as the one that's going on there. And I know for a fact, after being to Richmond and a lot of the other high schools, and again, I know, board, township, sign person, but these other schools have these things. So, so that's kind of it in a nutshell for the sign. So if there's any questions on that, am I involved with Heidelberg, that's about it. That's not really even the main point of what I want to discuss, but I know there was a lot of questions about that.
Any questions about the sign?
I guess I'll start. What exactly is the improvement we're doing to the scoreboard?
Well, the discussions that I had with Coach and Zach were, we'd like to do maybe a metal Almont flag sort of thing. We'd like to do, this, that, or the other thing. Well, with time constraints and costs, that wasn't possible. So I said, well, let's do our best to mix a Heidelberg Chevrolet with Almont information this year because that's possible. Now, this wasn't like an end-all whatever. This is just, hey, this can happen by the end of, or by the start of football season, so maybe we could do this. But in reality, no, that wasn't the end-all. There's, hopefully more to add on. But then the other thing was, well, maybe we're not going to keep this scoreboard too much longer. Well, then do we want to spend, $5,000 to do a scoreboard that's coming down next year? And I don't know those answers. But those were some of the things that Zach had brought up about, how do we approach going on this scoreboard? And again, this scoreboard came up not by something that there was some great idea. It was one of the needs that was listed that we got as to what can we do to try to help.
So like, is the donation money going to improve the physical scoreboard itself, or is it just going to put an advertisement sign on the scoreboard?
The donation is going to put a sign on the scoreboard. Yeah, I think she might have a picture of it. So that's, part of what the donation is for in that case. And again, this is just shooting from the hip, even from the dealership. You know what I mean? What's fair for that sign? I don't know. I just know since 2015, nobody's put anything up there. And when I go all over to these others, 16 Mile and Dodge Park, they've got $25 million some odd dollars going into baseball stadiums and all kinds of garbage. I just, I know the kids don't have air conditioning in the schools, but there's a way to get $500. And maybe if Ford Motor Company sees Hybrid Chevrolet, who again has got a very good reputation, maybe they say, you know what? If they're up there, well, now we want to be up there. So maybe this goes from 1 sign to 4 signs. That's what happened when we put those banners up. We put them up out on Van Dyke, the ones that are on the fence now. I don't know if anybody's seen them. And we had businesses calling us, asking us, is there any way that we can, make donations? And that's how it all got started. So those signs created the attention and people asking. I mean, we've got people already willing to go the next step with what we're trying to do. But I said, you know what, when this all came up, I don't know if we're doing this right. I don't know whether it goes to the boosters, and I gotta be honest with you, when I met with Sarah, she was so overworked and through the roof. As far as the scoreboard thing, I thought, hey, that's a boosters thing, they got the bleacher signs. She said, Tim, I got absolutely, there's no way I can do it. My husband installs the signs, and just get with Zach and see what you can do. So that's how that kind of went in that direction. We've also done some stuff with the boosters. I personally collected a 50-50 money on the first game. I was very short of what I understand the record was, so I was a little bummed out. Yeah, so I guess I'm here on 2 sides. The sign side, just to kind of let you know what's going on with it. That's not the important part of the whole thing, in my opinion. That's how it all got started. And when I got an offer, to be honest with you, $500 to start, I thought maybe we'd get a couple $100 before the first game. I was like, all right, we're going good. And I want to be very upfront too. Zach made it very, very, very clear that nothing could happen without board's approval. I mean, probably 4 or 5 times. So I just want to, everybody understand that. Zach, coach's wife, Mr. Spear was the one that took the time out of his schedule when he probably thought some crazy person's calling, wanting to meet me right before the end of the school year when I got graduation going on. But, I just don't see anybody else doing it. And not you guys, and not the people that don't vote the village. I'm no political, and my wife can tell you things backwards and forwards. I don't have a clue until I heard the kids didn't even have air conditioning at one school. I just, what do you do? I don't know. What do you do?
I just had a quick question. Is Heidelberg Chevrolet, are they currently affiliated with any other local schools' scoreboards?
We have the scoreboard in their basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, we do all kinds of stuff with schools. I mean, all kinds. Romeo, I couldn't even tell you, to be honest. Honestly, this is something I took on because I'm an Almont resident and I knew how to break it back it to some degree. Well, we got into doing all kinds of other stuff. And their concern is as well, like Zach and I talked about, there's bleachers in the gym. So do we overkill like the jumbo, something ridiculous, or do we do something that can steadily go through? We've talked to the theater department, and the brilliant thing about that was, she said the students were the ones that kind of handle things. Well, we've got a program. Oh, yes, and the drapes, or the curtains. $25,000 for curtains. And I believe it's probably more than that, to be honest with you. But anyways, I thought, well, awesome, they've got a program that's going out. I guarantee you, all these people who have done these t-shirts and had success with them would be more than happy to go on a program. The students can make a phone, or whoever can make this phone call, and now maybe we have $500 or $1,000 from the programs to go toward the dreams. And, if I don't do something for the band, my daughter's going to kill me because she was in the band for 4 years. That's how I started, and she will remind you, you didn't start calling your football games, Dad, you started coming to watch me in the band. So anyways, this is about trying to establish something throughout the entire year. I don't mind putting my time in. I mean, when you've got kids in school, it's almost impossible for you to do it. When you've got somebody playing football, I don't know how she does it, but you want to watch the game, and you are doing team mom activities, that's kind of a bummer. Well, my kids are out. I go to the games anyways. And it's not just football, I go to basketball, I've been to volleyball, I've been to plays, honors convocation, scholarship giveaways. And, again, I'm just looking for some direction as to what does everybody think is the best way to, try to make something happen. But from what I've seen, this marketing thing, and I've got a lot of experience in marketing. I've had businesses for a lot of years, spent a lot of money on advertising. This billboard advertising, you look up and down Van Dyke with these digital signs, they're not cheap. And I'm telling you right now, it just is what it is. There's a demand for people to have something in that football stadium right now. And probably in the basketball stadium as well. And there's no need to wait a year. Well, that's up to you guys. But, you know, this isn't like it doesn't, I thought the sign would be a 3-year thing. And then all of a sudden Giordano says, well, I do these signs over there. She's also the one that does the dealership. I didn't even call her having anything to do with you guys. When I called her, she goes, oh, I already know exactly what their signs are. I've been doing them for however many years. So it's just kind of that kind of meshed together a lot quicker. So that's probably the only reason that was even possible to try for this year.
Next question. Jason, how did you call like a scoreboard being a topic for needs or wants or anything like that? And is it a lot worse than what we know of? If you know, I don't even know if you know.
I know that we've got a company coming out, we've been running into some issues as far as connectivity.
Okay.
We've been using the Wi-Fi versus plugging directly into the controller. It has kind of been something that I stayed out of because the previous athletic director took care of it solely. So Zach's kind of picked that up since coming, as well as I believe the IT team as well. So I just kind of stayed in my lane. So I do know that in the shortcoming, that's something that we have planned is for, like I said, the connectivity. So there's certainly some other areas out there on the field that we can discuss in terms of, not just adding the advertisement, but looking at upgrading, because there's that other conference board that has our regional and state championships. I'd like to discuss maybe doing some things with that as well. There's possibility looking into, like we've already discussed, some upgrades to the current scoreboard.
This is my,
Ms. Fry.
I mean, thank you so much. I don't know what year you graduated Almont from, but,
I did not graduate Almont, but my 2 daughters did.
2 daughters.
okay. Well, we welcome you to the community and we thank you for all of your hard work. It is interesting though, because it was not on everything that we've done recently with funding for that being any kind of a need or even necessarily the want. I guess I don't recall that it was on the want list either. So that just has further discussion, but we appreciate anybody that's willing to help out, and Mrs. Cruz is absolutely phenomenal. We appreciate her because she works her butt off and she's always there to help out, so we appreciate that. Thank you.
Ms. Vaughn, the only thing I worry about here is we've got a lot of local businesses, and if it's $300 to be on the bleachers, but $500 to be on the sign.
Mr. Burrow, on that note, and I did see, I think it was a question that I glanced over, but I did have further conversation with Tim to that point, because I thought it was a very valid point. But when we're saying whether it's a 300 to get onto the right to the fence or the bleachers, and then a 500 potentially right to be on the scoreboard,
Right.
I thought that was a good point. But Tim did point out, I guess, the additional cost. It's not just $500. It's a lot more. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, I've
There's
got a
lot more
couple of
costs
bit,
involved
like I
with that,
said,
just
I
as
got
a
it.
further narrative.
Yeah, I understand.
So do
There's
you understand
installation costs.
the installation cost and then the sign
I
itself?
got it donated for the installation, so in our situation, yeah. The total cost on something like this with framing and all that kind of good stuff, with us getting the installation donated, is probably about $2,700. Now, again, sensitivity to the track situation, Phillips Signs won't do it for less than $3,500. There's a bid from them, and Dave said you're more than welcome to give him a call. He's got picture, he knows the whole situation. Giordano had somebody that they use say $850, and he called me back very quickly and said, no, if I can't put cherry pickers out there and trucks across the track, we're gonna need about $4,000. So yeah, I understand what you're talking about, the donation, And I don't, I mean, you guys might say, don't put the sign up, and I might say, I don't care, keep the 500. That's way above my pay grade. So I mean, that could be an irrelevant issue. If somebody else wants, can do better, then they can. But the problem I had with these T-shirts and this sort of thing is these investments, for hundreds of dollars, everybody's willing to do those. But nobody, is willing to take on that sign and, talking $5,000 for a sign that might only stay up there for 12 months. And, as somebody who's trying to raise money for the schools, if there's anybody, businesses, whoever you think might be interested in, and I didn't even get a chance to go to that yet. That's one of the things, and Lee City Floor's up there. If they see Hyder Break, hey, do you guys want to sign the size of,
Right.
And I don't even know if that's my right to even do that for you guys, but just, things I put together, try to be prepared.
Thank you, Sally.
I guess this thought, I guess my only issue is do we have a process, procedure, policy, anything on donations?
I don't think it's clear,
What
as far
amount
as
we
a
expect, what
Yeah.
people are allowed to go do, because are we allowed to do that across the track at some point, right? They rolled a huge roll around. I mean, I know we can't do it tomorrow, but at some point in time.
Well, that's an issue too, a little bit with people, with everything, even new banners that might go up. It's time sensitive, and everybody that looks out there says, if I do it by homecoming, no problem.
Right.
So there's, that's the thing too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that there's just some time issues too.
Yeah, it just sounds like if we just kind of it doesn't sound like there's a process involved in this. And that's kind of
I
makes
don't,
me
not
nervous.
specifically, I don't think to the scoreboard, other than, or, if we're going to accept a donation or a gift, there's policy that states that.
Right.
But as far as putting it out there, who's gonna be the highest bidder, I have not seen any of that verbiage per se.
Right.
I think, sorry, with what Ross is saying, and then now after hearing what Mr. Frederick has said about the scoreboard and stuff, I would be concerned to then have anybody spend that time and money to put it out there. Maybe we're gonna have to replace this scoreboard, in the springtime. I feel like maybe we need a little more.
And that was just in full transparency, that was not brought to my attention that we were replacing
Right.
the scoreboard.
Oh, no,
So
no,
that
that
is
was
new
something they
information
thought,
to me.
maybe down the road that would happen. So the thing of, I might have misspoke there, the thinking behind that was, no, this is no thing that, $10,000 should go into, because again, who knows what the future holds with that scoreboard. So that was the thing of trying to keep it as low as possible. But unfortunately, it can only get so low, I guess.
I think it would be nice to have a process of some sort, like you were saying, Russell, just so we are doing things the right way.
So I think we need to look at policy or a process. I know that we can accept a contribution, but I don't think we've ever accepted a sign.
Not that I'm aware of, but I honestly, I just don't know.
Does it have to go through facilities and building and maintenance to
Well, if it's any change on the ground, it's supposed to go through.
That's why it needs board approval.
Yeah.
So there's policy that states and,
Right.
I guess goes around it, but if you're getting more into specific and a specific process, then I think that would be something that we have to drill down
Right.
in to specify
Right.
more clearly,
I guess.
if that's what you're
And
asking.
implement.
I don't want to I'm trying to be negative, because anybody that's willing to donate, fundraise, and all that stuff is really great for the district. It's just what are we getting? This is just for $500, correct? Are we?
That is, for the sign, correct, that is the,
For that sign only, yes. I mean, as far as what you're getting, I think we've already raised about $3,000. And that's will continue.
and that's in the athletics, that would be
That
going
went
with athletics.
to, Almont Athletics, and there was an additional, donation given
Two separate.
on instruction by Aaron, I guess, for the
That's the
volleyball
Almont
team.
boosters again, that's why we have a little bit of combination between
Yeah, so
boosters
it's-
and school.
So, yeah, so in all these efforts, there was a $500 donation given to the volleyball team as well.
Yep, and that was again through Almont.
That's through the
Almont boosters, correct. That's
And
fantastic.
that's the other, I mean,
Like, do we-
does that sign go through the boosters?
Sorry, hold on, guys.
Sorry. Oh, no. I just wanted to point out that, yeah, there's been some questions, well, are you trying to do this for football, or are you trying to stop here or there? Well, in the efforts of doing this, no, anybody who had any interest was told this was about schools. A donor found out that there was a need with the volleyball team for a tablet, protectors for the tablet and everything. So we were able to secure a $500 donation, which is hopefully enough to take care of that. And if it's not, the donor is willing to probably provide what will be needed to take care of that piece of equipment.
So, I don't know, the $500 for the signs, is that coming directly from Ohio, right? Or
Yes.
That's coming from the $500?
And that's their only involvement, more or less, besides a few other donations they made. As far as the efforts, and, I mean, if this sign doesn't get approved, it's not gonna change anything as far as what I'm doing.
Right.
I was bringing them into the picture, trying to get these numbers going a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Who knows, and you might be right, maybe that sign's worth $5,000 donation. We have no idea, you know.
Just as a caution, because the scoreboards that are out there, the scoreboard that's out there in the gymnasium were donations, and there were grants from the people that are on the board right now. So if we go ahead and start selling space on that, it gives the impression that they paid for the scoreboard as well, and they did. The two that are up there are the ones that actually paid for those boards. And if they want to put signs, along the fence or whatever, that'd be fine. But I think we're giving these folks the wrong impression because that was part of the deal, like the Pierre County Community Foundation gave a lot of money to have that scoreboard put up in their name, and now for $500 you can have your name put up there. I think it's a wrong impression. I'm not against the signs, but I would, most of the schools put them along fences and things like that.
And honestly, speaking to that, sure.
Yeah,
The scoreboard was a thing to try to improve, and you're right, because one of my thoughts was honestly of the whole thing, forget the scoreboard. Man, the back of that press box has nothing on it, and we're getting $350 for 4x4. Well, that's times 4x4 times the back of that press box. That's about $2,500. You know what I mean? And all you have to do on that press box, there's no $5,000 installation. A couple sheet metal screws, and it's up and done, and there you go. So maybe that is a better way to go. You're right.
Mr. Burrow?
Thank you, Mr. Berman.
Comment.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, I appreciate that, because I don't think we have the full history of the scoreboard, so thank you.
I did
appreciate
get your
that.
number to call you earlier today, and I ran out of time. I had that exact question.
Sorry, I was over-talked. Mr. Burrow and I were just talking about how it's two separate things, right? You did a
Yes.
fundraiser is one thing. The sign was an idea to try to spark other people to put signage up to generate that.
Right. So this would be mine, go ahead.
Mrs. Smith, I guess I didn't realize that there were other donations that came in. I think that that's important for us to be aware of and to be appreciating the people for the different things that they're bringing. So that's really important that we bring that before the board, so we can thank the appropriate people.
Ms. Fred, just to be clear on that, are you talking about the signs, are we talking about the signs in particular?
No,
For the- or are you talking about?
Donation for the volleyball,
Oh,
that you said was
that,
$500. I mean,
Yes,
I'm a part of the volleyball and I was completely unaware of it.
just found out about it, and that was
Think they
through,
got
I believe athletic boosters.
Yeah, I just dropped off the check Friday.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Put 5 people, well, hopefully 5 away, you'll get it at one lap. So it'll be awesome when Mason graduates, we're all going to have a party.
Anybody else?
I'll say the word, probably you do. I think that we should probably not rush this in this meeting and try to approve it. I think that the history of the scoreboard needs to be evaluated. I think the price needs to be evaluated. And maybe if we were repainting the entire thing, like the donator was repainting it and fixing all the connectivity issues that we're having, and like really re-sprucing up the sign, maybe that would be something that would qualify to get them up with the previous donors. But I don't know if we should jump into that in a week of being notified.
I would concur with you, Mr. Burrell, so I think a little bit more research, find out what, what we can and can't do over there, and, right?
Yes,
Excuse me?
yes.
Mr. Garrity, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I just didn't know.
Maybe find out about a different location for the sign that will come at the field and for the donation.
Sure.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but yeah, in all reality, if there's like, hey, you know what, it'll be better here for us, I'll tell them. I don't think they're really gonna care.
Yeah.
And Tim, you and I I'll follow up with you to see, once we cross that bridge there and get to those
Yeah.
logistics, I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, I
To
know.
see if that's okay with, and then you, and then of course, if it's like right making that donation, I want to make sure it's okay with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
again, it's not so much about that sign being on a scoreboard, it's about trying to just get it.
Yes, you made that very clear, and we can't thank you enough for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more question. So the contributions or donations that you're getting, are you working, like, something working with this group, are you working with other businesses then directly in Almont? Or
Yes,
are you
yes.
are you putting flyers out, or are you, like, I guess,
Well-
I think it's good for us to have an understanding of how this is all.
Yes,
working.
Tim and I talked as far as like what avenues we're going to,
Yeah,
I guess,
so-
explore to do the fundraising.
There's been
Because
some,
I think we worked with different people
yeah,
so
some
far.
different things have gone out, and a lot of this came with Giordano printing with printed items. So the initial idea was that, guys, Andrea did a booklet many years ago. It was absolutely incredible, 5-page glossy, book, and the question was, well, maybe that's a great way to raise funds. Let's try to do some kind of a heritage festival pamphlet that might work. Well, the artwork, timing, the potential of, are these all gonna get thrown all over the place and littered out, and then somebody's gotta pick them up and it's worthless to people? Because if the things that we're doing aren't beneficial to the businesses that are paying for them, they're not gonna keep donating. So this picture up here of Mikey's, for instance, they were so thrilled, and they were involved with that volleyball donation, they spent $450 to buy that banner to put up on top of their business. Country Smokehouse has Welcome to Raider Country every game day on Fridays on their site. I mean, it's just incredible support. So the biggest profitable thing that we found through this is the t-shirts. Now, Zach said, we have this company that does these outside t-shirts. So I got with that company and found out what was going on is they're charging approximately $4,000 to make 100 t-shirts if you divide up what they sell each ad for. Approximately, it doesn't matter what each ad charges for. But then the school does not get these shirts for free or make any money from them. This is a profitable company. This isn't a charity that does these shirts. So we're able to sell that advertising for half the price and give all the money to the school. And the businesses are happier than heck. These kids, this football team, Andrea sent these kids to thank these businesses that made these donations. And I can tell you right now, that probably went a long way to get Country Smokehouse to come bring those steaks. Because when Stephanie saw those kids in front of that cow up there taking that picture, they just couldn't believe what kind of kids are in this program. And that again, Andrea, hey, let's, so it's just trying to create something positive.
I just want to thank you for your flexibility because obviously we have some stuff we want to investigate and and whatnot. So I appreciate it. We have a close-knit community, and we've got to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
And I 100% understand it. Honestly, part of what my concern was, and still is this point a little bit, these t-shirts, we've got people, the golf course, the bowling alley, that are really, really been very, asking, and I'm like, well, I want to see what you guys say tonight before anybody further. But what I'm getting at is there's people that want to do this because they've done everything in the past and they want to support. So it's not like this is something me going knocking on doors trying to sell real estate.
Yeah.
And I don't sell cars, by the way. I'm in service. So you can trust me.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I haven't had a chance to shake your.
Thanks. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll be in touch, Jen.
Thank you.
Ready to move on? Okay. All right, we're, up next, we have the board meeting, recording views. Just wanted to revisit this, it's in your board packet. I just did some quick math, if you will, from the last 6 months. Just looking at an average, so we're looking at about 114 people viewing our work sessions. I did the work sessions, as those are the most popular views. So I would imagine, and I just bring, your thoughts to the table here, that we'd want to continue, continue this, I guess, journey or community, I guess, transparency. So I'm just opening it up to discussion.
How long do they stay on YouTube for?
It's coming in there. So I'm going to give you the right answer, because it is taken off. 60 days. 60 days. So this is something, and then the only other thing is like to add this. I know President Smith and I talked about adding this to board operating procedures. If that was something that you would want to commit to as a board.
I'm all for it. Seems effective, people watch it, so,
I'm glad that people are watching. I want them to watch. I always, before we did this, always encourage people to attend meetings, and I know that's not always easy. And so if people can watch and get the information, I think it's great. Everybody is in favor of putting it on our board operating procedures?
Yes.
Any questions, discussion? So we'll work on that.
Are most people watching live or are they watching after the fact? Do we have that data?
Bill, let's check.
That's a good question. I don't know if you-
I've asked a few community members, and it seems to be after the fact.
I'm sorry.
And
Not a lot of live views, it's after.
Word Paul, was Paul sign on once a day for 60 days?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
seasonal vacation run, yeah.
So that sounds like to move forward with looking at some verbiage to adding it to the board operating procedures. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I think that's real positive too, because some of the individuals that might not typically get information have the ability now to get that information, and that's one of the things that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Walk away, we had a question for you.
Oh, what'd you have? What's your question?
We figured it out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we're going to move on to our community survey update. I did have Mrs. Myers update my most revised community survey. And again, just to provide a quick recap, the whole intention of this, and this was back in the spring, I wanted and I was intentional with meeting with community members, so that I did put together a draft survey, shared it with the board as well back then, but wanted to get feedback from our community to see, number one, is it appropriate, to send out some, a survey like this? Is it the right timing? So I gathered that feedback from some of our vocal community members maybe, but also just, it was also not only a community member, but also maybe a staff member who also resides in the community, to get some of that, I feel, valuable feedback, and to try to acquire a pulse from our community to see what ultimately can they get behind. If we were to proceed with a bond proposal or a sinking fund proposal, what would that look like? So these questions were generated based upon the feedback I received from the community, and I since have put out a communication to you as well. I also thought it was important to provide a definition for both bond and sinking fund millage. Both of them, I know that somebody mentioned like the bold print. I did the bold print for both bond and sinking fund. That was there originally, both of them. So just to make sure I'm highlighting the difference between the bond and the sinking fund millage. but then proceeding with questions that I think might help steer, or at least to get the conversation started with our community once we start putting together a community committee. Which, by the way, if you haven't done your homework yet, I'm still looking for getting some names from you after you speak to community members who might want to participate. I asked for 5 names and contact numbers so that I can invite them, of course, as we get started into those committee meetings. But I do believe that this survey will help us generate a direction, if you will. Also, in full transparency, Kathy and I were already doing some pre-planning as well. We met with PFM. I initiated a meeting with PFM today. RJ, for those of you who remember RJ, I initiated that meeting just to see where we would be. And actually, too, stemming from, thank you, Mr. Eckert, from your question, because I did reword one of the questions that would make a little bit more sense as far as, I believe the question originally was about getting behind a $10 million or $20 million or $30 million bond. Well, instead of doing something like that, speaking with PFM, I feel like it put us in the right direction to rephrase a question. So that is shared with you for number 4. So I'm going to read that one out loud because that's really the one that I changed. So if a bond proposal is placed on a future ballot, would you support up to a $15.1 million bond for up to 15 years with a no-mill tax increase from the 2026 tax levy? Because that is actually factual. That might be a great way for us to spin off and when we start meeting with the community committee to share out with those financials and with the impact, because that's usually one of the first questions, is how is it going to impact the taxpayer? So this might be, again, a worthwhile conversation and a worthwhile question to pose to our committee. So again, and I also was asked and encouraged to include projects that might go along with, again, a $15.1 million bond that could include, replacing select roofing and pavement, upgrading energy and plumbing throughout the district, updating select flooring, classrooms, restrooms, athletic fields. I could add, HVAC or updating our aging boilers, etc. But I did reword that question to reflect more, to be honest with you, more of what it could really look like, what that reality might look like. So Adam, I don't know, Mr. Eckert, I don't know if that met your expectation there, but after speaking with PFM and consulting with Kathy, we thought that was more of an appropriate ask.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everything was apples to apples.
Yep.
If you're going to compare something to a bond that people have it in mills or they have it in dollar amounts, so it's consistent.
Yep, so I did get both feedback from both Kathy and our PFM, our financial manager. So
And
that's,
can I ask a follow-up question? When you say no mills increase, how does that work? So if you're say you're asking for 3.5 mills right now for everything, the bond would not be above that, or would it be 3.5?
I'm gonna consult with Kathy here. So does that make sense, Kathy?
So currently we're at 3 mills, and so there would be no increase to 3 mills for 2027 if we don't increase it in 2026. And we would be able to reallocate our existing debt and still be awarded a $15.1 million bond. It's pretty cool. RJ called it a rare window of opportunity for us to be able to offer that. It's very rare that we're in this situation.
And that's
Sorry, I don't have
if
this
we,
on.
Kathy, just to clarify, that's if we go out for our November 2026, if we time it with that timeframe in November 2026 for this potential bond proposal.
And that's because we're not carrying debt right now. Is that a fair statement?
We are carrying debt, and it's being paid by the taxpayers at 3 mills. We have some maturities coming up in 2026, another maturity in 2027, and another maturity in 2032. So the debt is coming down at, that graduation. And so instead of going out for a new bond millage rate, we can keep the existing rate through 2026, not increase it in 2027, and still be able to go out for a $15.1 million bond.
Okay.
And like he said, it was a rare opportunity, rare window of opportunity that we can do this, that we can offer this to our taxpayers.
because where we're at with our
Yeah.
financials.
Thank you for
Yeah,
explaining.
you're welcome.
Yeah, so. Kind of exciting news, so, and definitely getting that word out to our community.
I have a question. So these questions, will they stay this way, or are you gonna change them?
Nope, this is the way that I would like to, unless you have additional recommend, and that's why, again, any questions. This is kind of like my final draft. I was, again, Mr. Eckert asked me a couple questions, and we since did talk on the phone for some clarification, and then I reached out to PFM for some review and wanted to consult with Kathy to kind of review and reword a question that might be very beneficial to see if we can get that feedback from our community. So if that is the case, I need to move on this because we have other surveys that are waiting for us. Once we get our strategic plan process going, we'll have to send out additional surveys, not necessarily attached to a bond per se. But I'd like to get this going for a good month as we talked about at the last meeting.
What's the distribution method of this?
I would like to, send this out as much as I can, obviously, like digitally, but provide some of those opportunities for that to be filled out. This would go through like a platform like SurveyMonkey, so that those are going to be, generated maybe through a QR code shared with, it can be newspaper, it can be our district newsletters, it can be on our social media. It's going to be downtown businesses with QR codes. I think that went well when I've done that previously. I did receive good feedback about that. If there's like a hard copy and QR codes are provided to some of our businesses, so people can take those surveys, use the QR code on their phone to take the survey, and then some other efforts, just showing up at events. One of the suggestions, or one of the things I thought of, was setting up like a tent at that Heritage Festival. For example, I haven't heard back on that yet, but maybe if we could have a tent at the Heritage Festival, that would be a great way to try to solicit our community members to take that survey. And of course, because this survey is about really getting behind a bond and how it impacts our taxpayers, it's really intended, right, for our taxpayers to take this survey. So that will also be articulated.
Do we have,
What about direct mailing to the community?
I did not consider direct mailing. I did not, just because of maybe the cost and the time frame involved. So I was just trying to acquire a pulse at this point.
I just feel like if we're specifically targeting the tax-paying community, like,
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe
know,
it might be
is
worth it.
everybody going to,
I think maybe
businesses?
it could be worth a phone call or two to see where we're at for how much that would cost.
Yeah.
There's just so much technology and social media, you know what I mean, like out there, but I do want to reach, as you know, I do want to reach our entire community, to your point.
Just to piggyback, I like that idea. Speaking for my real estate business, I do a lot of direct mailing, and that's how I'm able to reach long-term 55-plus community.
I would just, my mom's not a resident here, but she is elderly and she would not be able to read a QR code. Like, that would really throw her for a loop. And so I guess I like hearing that you want to target the taxpayers and whatnot, and so I want to make sure we get that sampling from all the taxpayers, not just our young people who are a little bit more tech savvy and newer parents and stuff like that who are at the events. So I'm not sure how to do that. I mean, that's kind of on you, I guess, to do that. And then how we're, I can't remember, does the sample have an age question in it? I don't know.
It does.
Yeah.
Right.
Mrs.
It does. So do we,
If I may, so kind of help you a little bit, you'll have to weight the results. So like if you get 100 people that are of a young age and only 5 people of the 55 plus age, the results of the 55 plus, you have to like times it by 20 or whatever the result of the vote was,
Right.
and then reduce the parent vote so that you have like an accurate representation of like what the community. So like there's a question on there that says, did you vote in favor of the sinking fund? And so like whatever that ratio was at the final result of the sinking fund, you're going to have to make sure that when we look at the results, that if we have 100 that voted yes and only 10 that voted no, the people that voted no, their surveys are going to be worth a lot more than the people that voted yes. So like you can weight that basically.
it sounds like Mr. Girl is available.
hand out flyers.
Yeah.
Back-
Well, here's the thing, right, so I will need actually all of your participation, all of your participation, so whether, you know, again, I'm also trying to access a couple iPads, for example, if you will, if I show up at a volleyball event, or, you know, a football game, or I'm showing up and I have a couple iPads, so to your point, if somebody needs any tech assistance, those devices would be available, and I can help them, you know, again, access the
I can
survey.
meet you at the grocery store if you want to set that up. for
Will
some
Colin be
or
on
something.
site for the tech?
Like, I would think that, like, we'd be able to
Yeah.
get people to fill it out in person in
Yeah.
2 minutes.
But to your point, like a direct mailing, obviously, that could be, you know, really
I love direct
getting the word out, so I like that. I guess, to be honest with you, I was just trying to be a little bit like cost savings, like, you know, but if this is something that, you know, is reasonable, I just don't know, I don't know what the cost of that would
If
be.
it's reasonable, I think targeting the audience we really want
Mhm.
is.
I think, I agree with you, I'm not gonna disagree, yeah, so,
And then,
yes,
I have,
yeah, do you have the,
I have
yeah,
the
do you have,
pricing from when we sent out maybe a year ago
okay.
to
And what was-
everybody regarding the bond.
And
it
what was that?
So obviously it'll go up because everything goes up, but, at that point, it was about $1,800 to send out everything to all the Almont mailing. We did have a little glitch where some things weren't going to St. Clair County residents.
Yes, we did have a glitch, yep.
Because they weren't quick to give us their addresses, not the residents, it's a whole thing. Because I have to go to each county and get all the addresses, so it could be probably around 2,000.
2,000.
23, I would guess.
Okay.
That was for a postcard.
Thank you for
and then do
sharing
you
that.
have a close date for when, like a
I was hoping to, you know, do it for about a month, right? I was hoping to do it for about a month, 4 weeks, because again, in the wings here, we have other surveys we have to get to our community for the strategic plan process. So I didn't want it to go for weeks on end. I'm looking for, as you can imagine, like we're gonna push this out and encourage, and yes, I'll need all of your support to make sure that these, you know, that these surveys are getting completed, because the more information and feedback that we have, I feel like the better direction that we're gonna be able to go here.
Sorry, one more. What would be the lead time if the direct mailing? Does that take a while?
Do you know what the-
I'm sure the one was very quick, you could get it out, ones we have approved, he sends it to us.
Yeah,
Within a week.
Within a week, yeah, within maybe 5.
So it's doable.
So,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, very doable. Yeah,
They would
Okay.
just have the QR code on it or something?
yes, that's correct, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Well, is there, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, is there another way, because if you've got some individuals of my age, they might not know how to do the QR code. So, I mean, is there another way that they can tap into it besides the QR code? Is there a website they can go to?
I believe we
You
can,
can put the link right
yeah,
on
we can
there.
do the link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Like
we
from
can,
a
we can
laptop,
post the link.
Just the
Yep.
QR
Yep,
code.
not just the QR code, you're right, we can also do the link
Perfect.
as well.
Okay.
Yep,
I'm wondering if, it's an idea of maybe some of our financial honor students or something that would help with iPads or something that.
yep, like some of our student reps, yep.
Like that.
Yep, and then also again, I know, I keep putting you guys in the corner, but again, just as a reminder, the community has been vocal and they would love to see, you know, board presence too, especially as we proceed with the next bond or sinking fund. Board presence, board collaboration, board support on something like this is critical. So I would appreciate your participation.
Ms. Smith and Ms.
So for example, just attending some of the events, perhaps Mr. Eckert, you know, with me, or like if you had a student group that you'd be able to, you know, get some survey feedback, and it's really about just encouraging our community members to take the survey. And this could be at different events, you know, that we sponsor, or, you know, that we attend, you know, for Almont Community Schools and beyond, even youth, right, our youth programs. So I can envision showing up at a youth, you know, football game, you know, one of the weekends. That would be very helpful to, you know, get some participation that way. That's just an example.
I just thought maybe too, you could have hard copies at some of the local businesses like Maria's and the
Yep, that's what I
bakery
mentioned.
and
Yeah,
Grounds.
that worked out really well when we've done that in the past. The businesses said that the community members really appreciated that. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Is that? Oh, okay.
Anything else?
I thought maybe I was.
It's all good.
All right, we're all set there? Okay.
I think it looks good.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, getting into our student achievement presentation here. I know I've already shared the presentation overall, or the majority with you ahead of time. I had a few tweaks to it, and I'll be sharing my slide deck here with you in a momentarily. But I guess I put on the screen here, spoiler alert, and I hope that you were able to digest and take a look at some significant scores and progress that have been made in various grade levels, subject areas. There is a lot to celebrate. All three buildings, as a reminder, all three buildings in 2025 have been recognized by the U.S. News and World Report. I'm not going to steal any thunder here behind me, Mr. Spear. I'll let him get into a little bit more detail with that for the high school, but that is truly an honor, and I don't remember in my time anyways, unless maybe someone else on the board can recall, but all three buildings in a school year, I feel like has not been across the finish line, or not very often. So I'm very proud to say that we have met or attained that recognition. Oops, let me go back here. Give me a second here. Sorry. So first of all, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of the different tests that we have and we offer throughout, the grade levels. I know that, you hear testing, what does it all mean and what grade levels. So this document, if you need to reference, spells out which grade levels are tested and in what subject areas. So that was more of a reference document. So I hope that you found that helpful. This is where basically you're taking a look at a snapshot of our grade levels here that are taking the M-STEP and our PSAT or SAT. And this is where you're going to see those scores, our Almont scores compared to the state scores. And so you can see that in every grade level, in every subject area, Almont does surpass the state average. And it should, just so we're clear. We want to definitely be above the state average because this is all public schools, by the way. That's what's incorporated into that percentage. So each of the grade levels, you can see then each of the subject areas here for ELA in math is noted here. And then we also have our 5th grade, 8th grade, and 11th grade. You can also see that there's percentages there for science and social studies as well. This is our PSAT and SAT breakdown for spring 2025. And so this also shows not only state, but it also shows the state or the global testers. So anybody taking the PSAT or the SAT, anywhere in the world are also accounted for here. And you will see that Almont, of course, is above both the state and the global testers for both reading and writing and math. And that is for 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. Again, 11th grade takes the SAT, and our 8, 9, and 10 take the PSAT. This kind of gets into, obviously, our proficiency rates, starting with, I know that got cut off at the top, this is going to be our evidence-based writing and reading. And this will show you the trend reports over the years here of how we are performing. The red line is the state average or proficiency, and the blue line demonstrates the Almont. So in every grade level, every school year here, we have 22 through 25 marked. Almont is above that threshold. Here's our math. Again, The statewide is the red, and the blue is Almont. And again, every grade level, every year, we have surpassed the state average. Just want to make sure the legend here is clear. We have, you'll see the blue is Michigan, the state. Almont Community Schools will be in the orange. Our comparables will be the, actually Lapeer ISD, and our comparables are Armada, Richmond, and Romeo, which are Macomb County schools. And the green will be the Lapeer ISD school districts as you look at these results. So starting with this first one, I also just wanted to make reference as we go through theirs. I know there's a lot of graphs and a lot of information, and if I'm going too fast, please stop me. I'm just trying to go through a lot of grade levels and a lot of information as quickly as I can, but not taking away some celebrations and/or if there's some highlights or challenges, I want to make sure that you see those as well. So third grade, I'm sure that you've seen, and it's definitely a celebration, that ELA, third grade ELA, 67% proficiency. They are at the top of the county, and they also beat out, of course, Armada, Richmond, and Romeo. So third grade is knocking it out of the park for the ELA.
Ms. Smith, may I ask a question? When you say proficiency, what do you mean? I'm assuming there's a threshold?
Yep,
and above that
that's right.
threshold?
That's like a, that's
So-
what, yeah.
You have that threshold, 67% of our student body is above that?
67% is proficient, that's right, or higher.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Got that.
Math, also third grade, we're at a 73.2, and Almont is also first as well with our comparables and compared to the Lapeer ISD. Fourth grade, our fourth grade ELA is at a 55.9 proficiency rate. Of course, well above the state, as you can see. I will say, if you can see the graph there, yes, we are concerned that there's a downward trend there over time, and I know that Ms. Lewis, I know because I've spoke with her directly, definitely anything that's on the downward spiral or trend, those are the areas that our teachers and our administration are taking a look at, and I'll talk a little bit more about their efforts at the end here. But please know that we are aware, this would be an example of where there's a downward trend there, although please keep it in perspective too, that we're well above the state average, and we're above, overall we're above our neighbors and our comparables. In our fourth grade math, this is at a 47.7% proficiency. Again, a little concerned about our math going down and not so much, seeing that increase or progress. But I do know that they are, again, this is where I'll speak to it, some of the efforts that they're making. But fourth grade is definitely a grade level that we're taking a closer look at.
If we go back to.
Sure, yep.
Mrs. Smith.
Oh, goodness.
So when you're, well, you don't have, don't worry about it. When you're
got it.
comparing fourth grade, you're comparing to the fourth grade of last year, correct? As you do these graphs? Because
These
that's
grades
what-
are, yes, these are not necessarily the cohort, this is the fourth grade.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, you
Yeah.
know, that's something that we also have to understand is sometimes you get a group in that's
The cohort.
more challenging. And so sometimes their scores do tend to be a little bit lower as you look at the graph overall.
Our fifth grade math here, then again, that's what I touched on, sorry, 47.7%. Our fifth grade, now this is where you can see a huge success, a lot of progress made. Again, we are at the top with all of our comparables in the ISD. The fifth grade is first for their ELA scores. For the math, we're at 45.6% for the math, and this is like fourth place, if you will, compared to our ISD and our other comparables. Still way above the state average. Science, we are at 57.8%. We're in third compared to our other districts. And you can see overall, again, way above that state average. Our social studies, and I don't know if Mrs. Walker's still in the room, but I just wanted to point out and really just extend congratulations and keep up the good work, because I know there's been a lot of hard work as when we first implemented TCI. This was one of the areas, those of you who are on the board, that we wanted to target. And I think we're seeing the results, and they say give it 2 to 3 years. So this would be a great example of how that success and progress is taking off. So very proud, again, to be first amongst our comparables in the other districts, and of course, way above the state average. Our 6th grade, 55.1%. We are in second place here, still doing very well. We are second to Chatfield. I only mention that because Chatfield, you'll see this, or if you've reviewed the slides, you see Chatfield, which, again, they do amazing things. But just to point out that it is a school district, K-12, that's lower than 500. I think they have, I'm sorry, K-8, I said K-12, I'm sorry. K-8, and with a school population less than 500. So a lot of, obviously, individualized attention, and that's great. But I just want to point out that we're doing significantly well in progressing. 6th grade, our ELA, I'm sorry, that was math, I'm sorry. Going through all of these. Let me go back. There we go. Sorry about that. Our 6th grade math was third, 46.9% proficiency rate. Getting into 7th grade, 7th grade is at a 47%. We did see, as you can see by the graph, there was improvement in 7th grade ELA from 2024. However, it still does remain to be, reviewed, and we will, again, continue those efforts. And I will share again more with you about those efforts in just a minute. The math for 7th grade is at 36%. And you can see by the graph, a little concerned. Again, thank you for pointing that out, Ms. Fred, that sometimes it's about the cohort. Sometimes it's not necessarily the curriculum, but it's the cohort, it's the group of students that you have through. With this particular cohort, I would share with you there is a larger percentage of special education students, for example. So that might be where our test scores do drop a little bit, just with the needs that the students have, and the curriculum being rigorous. It's going to affect some of the testing or the scores. The 8th grade, we have that was the comparison there. This is the total one. Sorry, the 8th grade ELA is 76%, with being in 4th place there. Obviously, you can see it's very interesting to see the 23, 24, 25. I don't know if when you were looking at these graphs, you can see that maybe it was something that happened in 23 with a variable of the test. You can see that it's the same pattern for the other districts as well. So a lot of times we kind of equate that with a testing issue more than a cohort or student performance, just to point that out. But you can see our ELA is at a 76%, which is very good. Math for 8th grade here, our 8th grade group was 35.4, putting us in a fourth place compared to our other school districts. Our science 8th grade, upward trend, again, well above the state average. I think kudos to Mr. Benison. I know that he and the science group have worked very hard to implement our MyStar programming, which has really, I think, made a difference for some of our students being able to do hands-on and analyzing, problem solving in science, and I think we are really seeing the results here. Again, we are second to Chatfield in the area of science. And social studies as well. Again, shout out there. We're at a 62.5 proficiency rate. Again, third place here. And again, a shout out based on our TCI curriculum and some of the efforts that our teachers and our students are putting forth. I think we're seeing, it's kind of like the proof is in the pudding. So we're starting to see our resources and the investment in our updating our curriculum is making a difference too for our students. Here we have the SAT here. This is going to be our score comparisons. With our evidence-based writing and reading, we have 57.4%. This brings us to a fifth place, if you will, for this school year. But again, above the state average and above some of our other school districts here. Our science, we are at a 45.7%. We're only second to Chatfield. I'll point that out again. And looks like, again, trending upward a little bit there, but knowing that we have to keep an eye on those.
That was the
on
math.
definitely so-
Up
I'm
there.
sorry.
That was
Did I
the
say
math up
math?
there.
I'm sorry.
No, you
I'm
said
off.
science. There
I'm
we go.
sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you for that. I'm going, looking at both papers here in the presentation. This one here is the one, I'm sorry, science is the 45.7. This is the one that's second to Chatfield. And social studies, this one is a 45.7%. Again, way above our state average and some of our other comparables, but we know that this is something that, that we're going to be taking a look at, just with a downward, if you will, trend from 24-25. But please know again, just whether it is, I know that I had a conversation, it's in communication with Principal Spear, and just, analyzing again, is this a cohort, situation, or is it a curriculum, issue or gap? So those things are going to be analyzed by our team. Yes.
This is the other thing that it could possibly be is that if students go to the Ed Tech Center, they don't necessarily have to take the third area in their social studies. So we've got gaps of students that are no longer taking some of those social studies courses, and they're opting out to personal curriculum.
Ms. Smith?
No, go ahead. Dina, I was going to refer to Dina because I think you're going to talk about a requirement.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's science that they don't have to take their third year with Ed Tech. They still take all the social studies curriculum.
That's the 4 years. Three.
But they take 3 years of social studies, but if they go to Ed Tech, their science elective, so their third year of science is waived.
So it's the science scores.
I think it was social studies as well, but
Okay.
might be wrong.
So going back here, just to go back then and highlight. Some of the next steps then, after reviewing this data, is one thing, and sharing the scores and the ups and downs, the celebrations and the challenges. Really it's about the conversations and the follow through that really make the difference. So the next steps being at each of the building levels really is analyzing other student data that can go along with this to make sure that we're filling and closing those gaps. So whether we're looking at our NWA testing for another, again, point of reference, a point of data, if we're looking at local assessments, our teachers and our admin are working together to adjust instruction to meet our students' needs. Also, of course, I'm sure you've heard of the MTSS, or the multi-tiered system of supports. So really, how does that translate? What does that mean? If you are an OP parent, you might remember win time and what that means, and getting that, that intervention for reading and math, and working with not only our teachers, but our para-educators or our para-pros, and success period, maybe at the middle school, and focusing in on some, for example, some math support and math practice. Continuing data analysis, disaggregating results by various student groups, reviewing and or implementing best instructional practices, and again, looking at cohort versus curriculum, where are the gaps. Other action steps or efforts would be our DCC meetings. This is our district curriculum council meetings, so that our teachers are coming together in collaboration and looking at curriculum alignment and validating resources and programming. Looking at PD opportunities. For example, we are invited to attend GISD, that's the Genesee ISD Leadership curriculum meetings, making sure that our teachers are attending those, and there's some representation from each of the building levels. And then, of course, MyKIP, that's our continual use in our school improvement, so that we can analyze student data, monitor progress, and allocate resources as needed. Any questions or further follow-up, feedback, observations, anything that you would like to share or put on my radar? Right now, I'd like to open that up to the board.
Earl?
I know you already said that you guys are looking into it. I would be curious as the outcome of fourth grade, which would be this year's fifth grade.
Yeah.
And if it was like, is it because we moved the whole cohort into this middle school? Like, was that an impact of it? And I think they're the biggest cohort we have too, right? The fifth grades are our largest, and like, is that having an impact? Would be my two.
So like looking at the outcome for the fifth grade this year?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, and the downward trend wasn't just fifth grade this year, but it was sixth grade the year previous too. It was a two-year slide.
Right, yeah, yeah. And that's when, correct me if I'm wrong, this fifth, because I would think, but like, we've had the fourth grade in the middle of school for 2 years, right?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Prior.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the same teachers, right?
It is the same teachers,
Teachers.
yeah.
For fifth grade, are you talking about
Fourth grade.
Are you talking about fourth grade?
Fourth grade.
Fourth grade,
Okay, so we
the
had.
fourth grade class, but we were
We had
talking
an
about the
addition,
fifth and sixth
right,
grade
yeah.
results, right, yeah.
So the current 4, 5, 6 grades have been in school for fourth grade.
There's been some teacher transition.
There has been.
Yes, there has been some teacher transition.
The only question I had would be, you talked about next steps and whatnot.
Yeah.
I know you and I have had this discussion before about success at the middle school.
Yeah.
Is that, are they still doing it 2 days a week for math support or anything else?
Actually, there was a little hiccup in programming because I think that there was not access to one of the programs, long story short. So I think they are investigating and exploring. I think they've already secured, I think it's through Khan Academy. So I think that that math practice is still embedded within their, you said 2 times a week, right? So
I don't know.
I would have to double check with Principal Lewis if that's kind of still the direction. As you know, it's not just academic support, but there is also supposed to be kind of like this where we view the whole child and do some hands-on, physical activity as well within that time. But I'd have to confirm if your question is it 2 or 3 times a week? Is that your question?
I still don't, they were still doing how they were doing it.
Yeah, there's
That
still,
can be a future.
there's
event.
still, yeah, for sure. There's still math practice, but I know that they have since switched their tool.
This is here. Just to clarify with Mrs. Morad, yes, one social studies credit can be exchanged. You cannot exchange the civics, but it can be exchanged for English, language arts, math, science, world language, or department-approved career and technical education. So maybe that's not something that you're doing right now, but that is something that's allowable. through
Yeah,
personal
that's through
curriculum.
part of the personal curriculum.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ms. Vaughn, I'd just like to congratulate you on having all 3 schools in the top-rated schools, so that's a huge achievement, so, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
In all my time being here in Almont, I don't remember it being so collective like
Right.
that. So
Yeah.
again, there could have been a year, and maybe it just wasn't brought to my attention, but
Right.
it's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
It's
no, I think
exciting
that's a testament
to be
to
nationally
the principals
ranked.
and the,
Oh,
the
it's
administrative staff.
and our students
All the
for-
support staff,
yeah.
yeah, it's, yeah.
Should
So,
we share that, like in your district newsletter?
Yes, it'll be in my district newsletter, and actually there's different things that you can, I assume you probably know this, but you can also purchase, from them, but, not wanting to spend $1 million, but this would, this is, to me, this is a very opportune time to make sure that we're promoting the good things that are going on in our district. So it's worth the investment. For example, they have banner flags,
Okay.
they have signs. If you want to use like their stamp, you can, purchase that so that there's a license agreement kind of a thing to utilize. So it's not free to use to use their logo. But I definitely would like to explore that now that high school has joined the ranks here. It's really exciting, and I think that will be, again, part of our positivity.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for that.
That would be fun. I just had an idea to gather staff amongst the 3 buildings and maybe do a picture or even a Facebook post. Stuff like that is nice to get out and promote, and I feel like that would be a fun post.
100%, yeah, 100%. Getting all 3 buildings together, oh
I mean,
goodness.
that could
Wow,
be a challenge,
that
but-
would be a challenge, but it
I
is
think that would
fun.
be
They all gotta come here and they all gotta leave.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
you know, if you put the signs up in front of each of the buildings, one morning when they have professional development, they get behind their sign.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that can be
100%.
put out.
You know, what a
That'd be
good,
easy.
what a
Yeah.
fun way
It's-
to engage and
It's
promote.
great, it's great. And again, and thank you for definitely recognizing, our educators here, but again, this is, I guess it's all trickled, through to our students and our families who show the support, and these are some of the great results that you get as, as a result, as an end result. So, yeah, we're very proud. We do know that we have some work to do. You can see the results where, we have to eye some areas, but I do know the administrative team and the teachers are committed to breaking this down and really analyzing where they're at so we can improve. So, thank you very much.
Mrs. Smith, do we know like kind of what the metrics are to get on the COS dues, so we can keep pushing forward on that? If you're making good progress, we got this, which is awesome for all 3 schools. Do we know what to target to continue to stay on that list?
I think there's a different criteria, and I think Mr. Spear, are you speaking to a couple of the criteria areas? And I know that you have to be, I think it's like the top 40% ranked schools, for example, is one of the metrics, and how they break that up. I think there's different avenues, like for student achievement. Attendance is one.
AP, exams,
Yeah.
proficiency or something
Yeah.
like that.
But yes, we want to keep it there. Yes, we want to keep it there. Yeah, thank you, thank you so much. Okay. Next up, these are kind of hopefully faster ones here coming up. So thank you, and I plan, if it's okay, we'll take a break here for maybe 10 minutes after, before we get into the next session or section here of our agenda. But I know it's been tough to secure a strategic plan workshop or retreat date, but I'm going to challenge everyone to please look at their calendars. Some of you did respond, and thank you so much for responding to, I believe, Mrs. Myers. I had her post the 3 dates, and you were to initial if you could make that date. And after looking, and I also, consulting too with the administrative team, I'd like for them to participate in that event as well. But it looks like from the board standpoint, because we really would like to get every board member there, it looks like the majority of you can attend on December 13th. I was wondering if that is doable. There was a couple board members I didn't see, so I don't know, but I do know after talking with President Smith here and Scott Morrell from MASB, because he's going to be facilitating that session. He would like all board members to be present. So if a Saturday is not possible with all 7, then he is suggesting 2 to 3 nights. And I know that's tougher to commit. So Saturday, December 13th, is there anybody who could absolutely not do that date? Russell.
It's my wood Christmas party. So I can't
Let me
miss that.
double check.
That's
So,
supposed to be
yeah.
If there's maybe one that can't attend, I don't know.
Well, then we could do.
I could cut it short, like if I left 2 to 3 hours early, like is that good enough?
Let me see what I need a day to
Okay.
talk this through.
I would be comfortable with that if you would be.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
if
let
I
me-
left by
I'm
like
supposed
I'm supposed to
know.
be.
2, I would probably be okay.
Let me do some logistics behind the scenes and I'll get
And
back
even
to
if you
you.
had to leave a little early,
Yeah. Okay.
you can make that
You
work.
can
So,
come
yeah.
late if you place me.
It's just, as you can imagine, with everyone in the
Yeah.
room.
Can I
it's
get back to
so
you tomorrow
hard.
morning? I just need to
Absolutely.
consult with a few
Absolutely.
people.
And then,
Yeah.
Mr. Burrow, you would be comfortable with leaving?
As long as the process, I don't understand the process yet, so like as long as it's okay that
If you're there in the
I'm cut out
morning
a few
part, I
hours.
think that would be most beneficial.
Okay.
The early afternoon, we could reduce some breakout session part, but I don't know, there's anything that you want to say, I think you're going to say it in the beginning.
Yeah, like I could definitely commit 8 to 2. I think I gotta check the times and all that, but yeah.
thank you. It's just been really challenging trying to
Absolutely.
grab these
Yes,
dates.
I
And
will
then
definitely.
Mrs. Rotarius, you'll let me know.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I know everyone's very busy in the room. Okay. Just moving on to the next one here, communication expectations. Again, I know how much both, I think the board through our workshops and obviously working together with me through meetings, just communication is key. And so what I'm finding is that I'm a little challenged in full transparency, just to try to keep up with some of the board communication, because I do get emails, I do get from the Q&A document, which I thought was going to be our way to communicate, the two-way communication and ask questions. And again, it's not ill-intended. I just want to make sure what we have, you know, as a protocol is going to be effective. And I want to make sure that I'm communicating to you in a timely manner. And I'm finding it challenging going between kind of emails and a Q&A document, and then sometimes text messages, because sometimes I put them out there to you because I want to keep you informed, but then sometimes questions come back. So it's really, I feel like I'm looking at least 3 ways of looking at communication or questions coming from the board. And I just want to make sure that I can answer and respond to you in a timely manner, because that is important to me. And I do want you to have the information, because the more information you have, the more clarity you have. And obviously you're speaking not just, you know, for your own peace of mind, but you might be, you know, answering or responding, I know, to some community members, so that we all have the information. So that is fine. I just want to make sure that this is a protocol that's working 2 ways, both ways. So if I could please remind you or encourage you to utilize the Q&A document, that does help. It puts a timestamp on that. This has been shared every month, and I know it's in your board, it's in your board drive, and I think it's already planned out for 2025 and 2026. So if you go to the document, it's separated out by the month. So September, for example, I'm working on answering questions, because I have questions out there right now. You know, majority are answered, but there's a few that I need to follow up on. Sometimes the questions that are lagging, or a couple days, or sometimes it's a week, it's because I'm waiting to hear from maybe somebody I need to follow up with, and I don't always have that person at my disposal. But I'm trying to get back to you in a timely manner. I think after talking, I was trying to talk to some of my colleagues. A lot of times with their board update, that's when they try to go over some questions and try to keep that at the same time, so that when I'm doing my board note to you, I'm looking at those board questions and answering as much as I can, kind of on a weekly basis. If it's more urgent than that, then it's either going to be, you're going to be calling me or texting me, because that you need that answer right away, because we don't want something to spin out of control. We want to get that communication, you know, where it's clear. So I'm committed to that. I'm just telling you I'm struggling trying to keep up with emails and Q&A document and text messages. So if I could just have, I guess, your rubber stamp of approval that you're okay with the Q&A, or if you want to have more discussion, I'm definitely open to that.
I just have a quick question on the Q&A document. Like, the administrative team communicates to us by email mostly. And so, like, do you, like, when I have a question about something that was emailed to me, am I putting that on the Q&A, or am I responding to the email? Because most of the time I respond by the way I was communicated to. So if I get it through text, I'll respond to you by text.
Yes.
If I get it through email, I'll respond by email. Like, Q&A is like, for me, the Q&A document is for like brand new questions or topics, more so than like current stuff.
So when I talked to Ms. Bond the other day, she and I talked through, because that was one of my questions, what do you want us to do if you send us an email? And she preferred to go down the
Just go on Q&A.
So that way everybody can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm struggling
Yeah,
trying
no,
to keep up with.
no, I understand. I wanna
but
do it the
that's
right way. I just-
No, that's a fair question,
Yeah.
because like, you know, because if it started and I get that. So, but if it's not a question, that's another thing that's brought up. If you want to bring something to my attention, like a board member did do, bringing something to my attention, that could be, I assume, through an email, because you're not asking a question. So again, but if it's where I'm following up and you're asking questions, I'm going to encourage you to, you know, do that on the Q&A, so that I can have that one document to reference, and
Yeah,
that will be my go-to, I guess.
Right.
Unless it's urgent and you need an immediate answer, I hope you all know that you can text me or call me, so that we can get that taken care of. So I just think it's, again, it was worthwhile. Thank you for engaging in this discussion, but I just want to be able to provide timely communication back to you.
Everybody good with that?
Is everybody's good? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, moving on to student enrollment. I just wanted to make sure that you have, and you've been tracking, and I believe that some of you are on it, on the document quite often, looking at our student enrollment. But as of today, and I believe there's a timestamp on there, 7:30 a.m., we were at 1358. So wanted to make sure that you are aware that that's still that live spreadsheet. It has been shared with you. And if there was any questions or problems accessing that, I want to make sure that you have that most current number.
7:30.
I'm sorry? No, 7. Yep, 7:30. No, it was updated 7:30.
Yep.
And 1358, and it's a breakdown too of those classes as well, the class sizes. So I want to make sure. And then just as a reminder, our projected enrollment was 1346. So obviously right now we're up 12 students from our projection.
Mrs. Smith. For purposes of meeting minutes, at the beginning of the meeting, we did additions. We had said that student enrollment and sound system were going to be G and H, but I think
F and G.
But I think that I just want to make sure the minutes are accurately reflected, because there's one that's labeled E, so
You know what?
I believe it's
I
going to be H
just
and I.
realized there was a mistake on the agenda. I'm so sorry. Thank you
No,
for
you're
catching
good.
that.
I just wanted to make sure that was
FG, so that's going to be
properly
H and I.
H and I.
H and I.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow.
Thank you for that.
It's a
Sorry.
good job, so.
Thank you so much. Yes, I saw. Yeah, there's an error there. Thanks for catching that. We're just seeing if you're paying attention.
Yeah, I know.
We appreciate that very much.
So just wait.
Okay.
See how it goes.
Okay, the last thing, moving on to the communications, is the sound system update. Just wanted to make sure Mr. Markland was able to provide a quote, just to, I believe there was some questions or inquiries about the sound system update. I do have Mr. Allen stepping in, as I did tell him. If there's going to be questions about some tech stuff, I'm going to need his support. So this is just, again, a quote to get a soft feel, kind of like a range, if you will, of what that cost might entail if we want to update our sound system for both this room here, Media Center, for these purposes, for our work sessions, and then at the high school as well, some of the upgrades. And so we wanted to do a soft feel for a quote, and this is what Tel Systems put together for us. So this is kind of, just some information for the board. I don't know if you had a chance to, really dive into this of what this would look like, or if you have any other questions. If it's something that we're going to give the thumbs up for and we're interested in, we will explore further and generate some more quotes and bring those to the board. But we wanted to give you an idea of where those prices are going, giving you a range.
Is that included somewhere?
That was in the board packet.
It's not in the PDF.
No.
packet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I assumed it was in the board packet.
Well, if you could just share that with
You
us.
assumed you were doing it verbally.
I will be sharing I will share this with you in a communication follow-up, just because, again, I want to give you an idea of where those numbers go. So right now we're looking at, I'll just give you an approximate, like an 8,000.
It's in the price. Yeah.
Right here.
Is it in the paperwork or on the?
It's not in
Okay,
there.
that's okay.
This is Tel Systems,
Yeah.
all the way in.
Oh, it's on your drive. Sorry.
Oh, it's in the drive.
It's in the drive. It's not in your packet.
Okay. All right.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
What
It's in the
folder?
drive.
Huh?
What folder?
Go into the work session and go to sound system. Right there.
That's even better.
Can we copy everything?
So that wasn't copied.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
All right.
There were a lot of things.
Yeah,
Yes.
they don't have it on there, Amanda.
It's not in the September
Not if
file?
you find it. I have it in mine, but I can't get to it on there.
Oh,
Yeah,
special.
it's not.
I didn't want some of you to see it.
Wait, I have it. It sounds
Found it?
I have
Did you find it?
Yep.
Well, they can't be in just yours. It needs to
Go
be
back.
in everyone's.
I've got it.
Go back one.
Count system quotes?
It's
Under
under May,
September.
September.
Oh.
There you go.
There you
It's
go.
not in the
Okay.
work
It's there.
session. It's not in the work session.
Gotcha, it's in the September folder.
I was like, I'm looking at it.
I
I
really
Okay.
threw you guys off today.
So wanted to give you a soft feel of what those numbers look like. The middle school being obviously in a little bit of, obviously more cost involved, because that would be updating a whole new system, correct?
We don't even have a system.
There's no, that's what I'm saying, this would be a brand new system for the media center. So if that's something that the board would like to, like for us to explore further, we certainly will, but we wanted to give you kind of a soft feel of where those numbers were to install one here and then to upgrade the high school.
Is the intention so that like the camera can pick it up better? And I feel like we hear each other.
Yep, so it would be for the camera to pick it up, and if, for example, we had a guest speaker via Zoom or vice versa,
Okay,
the audience will be able to hear the guest speaker on
okay.
Like, it's likely that if you watched the work session, we would not be able to hear what, the donation speaker was,
Guaranteed.
was talking about, on there, so,
It's pretty muffled.
yeah.
Is this worth further exploration at this time, or is this something that you'd like to table, until we get some
Is there
numbers
anything else
back?
this could be used for, or is it just for board meetings?
We could use it for example, if there was a guest speaker for student presentations, we can pull that small sizes in here, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, but you would have no impact on theater, sound, or anything like that at the,
Oh, at the
Oh,
high
at the
school?
high school it would,
it would,
but not, here would just be if
right,
regular, yeah.
Seems like a pretty substantial cost.
yeah,
I
For work
agree.
sessions.
yeah.
You know, when we look at needs and wants.
That's right, that's why I just wanted
Yeah.
to see where we should put our efforts if we want to table this for now.
I would agree, table it.
Agreed.
Table it for now.
Thank you, Ms.
Speak
Mayor.
louder.
We appreciate that,
That's a problem.
appreciate that.
That's what my wife says, now you're sued as fine, or you said next
It's okay, we'd like to take a 10-minute break, and then we will get into communications here, curriculum with our high school team, but we'll need a 10-minute break. Thank you. gonna turn it over to Principal Spear and Mrs. Narad, our high school counselor, to provide an update on our master schedule.
Excellent, good evening, happy Tuesday. Keep this energy going. Yeah, we need it. I'm going to speak for just a couple of minutes. Actually, Ms. Narad's going to be taking over the majority of this slide deck, so I appreciate that, Ms. Narad. But I just wanted to talk about just a couple of points real fast before we get the ball rolling there. When we were given the directive to ensure that 20 students were in every classroom, physical classroom, again, aside from special education and some consideration for AP classes, it begs the question to me, or else, right? And that is kind of the realm we live in, my staff lives in. That's one of the reasons why I can tell you in transparency that Mr. Fenton is here tonight with that type of concern or that wondering, right, of that or else kind of question, right? And for me, the logical or else to that is that we are examining this type of thing because we're looking to maximize efficiency. And that's, again, a word or a phrase that means potentially reduction, right, of staff or class offerings or course offerings. And for me, these are some things I'd like to consider before we potentially start opening those doorways or opening those conversations. So Ms. Vaughn already mentioned it, but as of last year, the data from last year allowed us to be recognized by U.S. News nationally. We moved over 2,000 positions in our national rankings, up from in the high 6,000s to 4,325. That's best school in the nation, 4,325. That's pretty great. And then almost 100 positions in the state rankings, from 216 up to 137. So that's from last year, as well as, again, our own data saying that we've had a 39% total reduction in disciplinary behaviors at Almont High School. I only mean to say that this is some stuff we already have some data on that we could even compare to next year to see what type of impact something like that would happen or would have on it. In addition, we also have some hidden risks, some things that we might not necessarily have some data on now, but are some things that I like to consider whenever, like I said, we have that conversation about the potential reduction of staff, the potential reduction of class choice, and the increase of classroom size. Is the reduction of enrollment or student dissatisfaction. I can tell you this year already, we have turned students away from classes because of that 20 students in physical space directive that we were given. And it doesn't feel good. When we're having those conversations with students, it's hard to look at that type of exchange and think like we are operating in student best interest there. And again, I think that type of thing only has a room to increase as we talk about that. Again, the potential reduction of class choice. And again, that might lead to that reduction in enrollment. The next thing I would say is we're always cognizant of our Michigan virtual, our dual enrollment sizes, and that's always something we're trying to work on to ensure that we are again, being very mindful of when students have that opportunity and trying really hard to filter them into those physical spaces. But I can tell you, when we reduce class choice, the reality is we will inflate those class sizes, because when students are looking for variety, when they're looking for diversity of class option, and we are removing that from our physical space in our building, they're going to look for that virtually online. And then the last thing I'd say, and this is not the least thing, is having these types of conversations, having these types of things kind of going around, does fracture staff trust. And I worry about my staff, I worry about the state of my staff, and how the conversations that are going on in my building surrounding this type of directive. I'm trying my best to obviously keep things positive and keep things going, in the direction that, again, we're just figuring this out. This is just a part of the conversation. But people take these types of things and they go with it where they want. And I just want to be mindful that these are kind of the hidden risks that we face, along with these data things that we will be able to look at hard numbers and compare year over year to see the impact of decisions like this. So just wanted to say my own two cents there about that before I turn this over to Ms. Narad to talk a little bit more about the mechanics of what was going on to put those 20 students in seats.
So again, I've been doing this type of work for over 20 years, and I am a little bit of a data nerd. And so I view our master schedule as quite the little puzzle to be able to offer as much opportunity for our students each and every year. So this past year, when looking at balancing that master schedule, lots of extra hours building that. Once course requests come in from students, Mr. Spear and I sit down and we decide, and we looked at the number of sections for each of those classes, as well as offering some new course offerings to kind of liven up the the offerings and interest for students. So the things that we looked at in balancing that master schedule numbers was we instituted a new process for online classes. We also looked at our approvals for dual enrollment. We always are looking at our ed tech numbers and that application process. And then we look at what are our graduation requirements, so what course offerings do we need to have in order to meet the Michigan Merit Curriculum and the requirements for Almont. And then we also look at student preferences. So in our online coursework, this is the information that students receive during the scheduling process. So we talk to them about what does a successful online learner look like. The classes through Michigan Virtual are not cake classes, they're not walks in the park. They typically require about 8 to 12 hours of work each week in order to stay on pace. So the students that think that I'm just going to do it online and it's going to be a breeze and I don't have to, have Mr. Fitton, that isn't the actual reality of those classes. So eligible classes are courses that are not already offered. So we have a lot of students who will take foreign language through Michigan Virtual because we offer Spanish. And our largest class is probably through American Sign Language in terms of that. This year,
I have a question just real quick.
Sure.
Is that a change? Because in the past, the Michigan Virtual Law said that kids could take any 2 courses that they wanted, even if it was offered through your own school. So is that something that's recently changed?
so the law states that, but there is some confusion about what the intent of that is. And so through the state dual enrollment and Michigan Virtual Coordinator, they say that districts can place requirements on that. And so that is what's listed in our course curriculum guide, that the eligible courses are courses that are not offered.
So when did that change?
It has been that way since I have been here.
Okay.
The change that we did make this year was that we required a teacher recommendation. So every student who was applying to take an online course had to have a teacher write a recommendation or fill out a recommendation form. And then that was talking about digital literacy, attention to detail, homework completion, and a couple of other attendance and other factors that we know are big things with online coursework. And so those recommendations came in, and then if there was a teacher that did not recommend that a student take that online course, I met individually with each of those students. We had a conversation. Several students were turned away from online courses due to the fact that they did not have the skills we felt necessary. Other ones are on a probationary standpoint for the first month to make sure that they're on pace for those classes. Dual enrollment, these are the requirements for dual enrollment. Similar requirements that these are college level coursework, and so the requirements is that if the district offers a college level equivalent with an AP course, those courses have preference over entry level equivalents. I also sometimes I'll have students who want to take economics, and we talk through the economics classes at a college don't necessarily meet the same state standards that are required for Michigan Merit Curriculum. And so if that is a situation where students are interested in those classes, it doesn't mean that they're exempted from the high school courses. It means they're taking that in addition to. So we have several students that are taking economics through community college, but are also enrolled in Mr. Fitton's economics class, so that they are getting that foundational knowledge that is required through the state standards for economics. These are our graduation requirements, both the Michigan Merit Curriculum and then what's stated in our course curriculum guide. So all students have to take 4 years of English language arts, 4 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, 1 semester of health, 1 semester of PE, 2 semesters of what's called visual, performing, or applied arts. So for us, that can be art and music, and some ed tech courses. And then foreign language, they need 2 years of a foreign language, or they need 1 year of a foreign language, and then an additional VPA or English or science or social studies credit to meet those requirements. Ed tech can be used to exempt courses in the science area, in the world language area, and then it counts for their senior year math course as well. So in your packets, you received the numbers of where our classes are after what I call the big move, after students are required. And then you also have, if a number of a course was under that 20, you have an explanation of why that is. And primarily, the big reasons why numbers were, besides special education and AP courses were below 20, it was either, I think there were a couple that were like scheduling conflicts, so they were at like 18 or 19. A majority of them were student preferences where they had requested the course, we were well above the 20, and then in the course movements, we dropped below that 20 threshold. And then quite a few of them were their graduation requirements. And so offering those courses is really important for students to be able to meet the requirements of graduation for us.
Sorry, Mrs. Nora, just to clarify, so when you said that in regards to student request or preference, for example, capstone, like that would be an example of where they would want it in either semester 1 or 2.
Correct.
So
Yeah, so I
moving
did-
those around, those
Yep,
numbers
absolutely.
affected some of those class sizes?
Absolutely. So 2 big things affected my numbers for economics per se, that had 2 sections that were under 20. One was there are 4 sections of economics based on the students that were required, because we do have an AP government course as well, so that pulls numbers from our government requests. And so I only had 3 sections of government and 4 sections of economics, which means that I had to get all 88 students into government, but I have 1 section 1 semester and 2 sections the following semester. And so that affected the economics numbers for sure. And then that capstone was the other big one where I had a lot of students request that they wanted to do that capstone their first semester of their senior year, so that they were done with the project and the big research paper, and then their second semester they could, in their minds, breathe easy, because English 12 was going to be a breeze in comparison to capstone.
So to clarify that, Ms. Narad, and just to summarize that, we very easily could have had those government classes have over 20 kids if we did not offer AP government.
Yes.
And so that was the decision that was made there.
I have a question. Is capstone, does every senior do that?
Every senior does capstone, correct. Yep. Unless the there's a transitional capstone that we offer for special education students. If they have that written into their IEP that they're not able to meet that course requirement, but everyone else meets it.
So again, now you know a little bit about kind of where our heads are at, and also kind of the process of what Ms. Narad, the painstaking amount of time that you had to do all that. And I'm curious, do we have any other questions, comments, thoughts, concerns about this topic?
I mean, I have some great concerns, because you were basically directed by this board to have no less than 20 students in a class.
Ms. Fry,
And
he was not directed.
Mrs. Smith?
Yeah, Ms. Bond was directing that.
Oh, okay. I thought he was directing that to us.
Yeah, no, he's not our employee, so I just want to be clear on that. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Go ahead.
All right, well then, Mrs. Smith, let me talk to the board. I mean, we gave very clear direction as to what we wanted here. And it's not for maximizing efficiency. We have a limited budget. We want to pay our staff comparable wages to what we pay in other districts, because we want the best staff to be here. Teachers are allowed to have 150 students on their caseload. Right now, we've got teachers with 95 students, 83 students, 93 students, 107, 106, 90. So we've got whole sections of other classes that could be put in place. And when you mention that, yes, if we didn't offer this, then, it's gonna bump up, other numbers, it doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna bump up Michigan Virtual. That's not what happened in the past when we had to have certain numbers. It did not get more people doing dual enrollment, because the dual enrollment kids at that time were doing their 10 classes of dual enrollment that they were allowed to have, and that money was spent. Therefore, they pretty much had to stay in-house. I mean, when I look at this, we've got 26 classes under 20 students out of 108 sections. This is not including special ed. That's 24% that have less than 20 kids in a class. To have art classes at 18 and 16, when we're talking about hiring another art teacher, I know that we had discussed last year, when you have a natural retirement, you got to take a look at the numbers that you have and where can things change. And that didn't happen. So, this is really disturbing to see these numbers.
Well, I think that's why we're here tonight, right? That's why I'm inviting the high school administration and the counselor to provide some of that narrative as to why these numbers are below that 20. It's not just straight up black and white, this is, below 20. There are reasons that these numbers are below 20. So whether it's upon student request, or, maintaining that we want, and I guess maybe that's a mixed message too, Ms. Fred, is that, are we looking to offer robust, programming, for our students? I've been charged and challenged with saying, hey, well, what is Armada doing? What's Romeo doing? How is Almont, remaining competitive? The way that we're remaining competitive and keeping maybe some of the students here is by the opportunities that we're offering them. So as far as, again, just to be clear, it was definitely communicated, and I know that my staff here will tell you, the number that you were given was 20. That was the number that was given. There were factors that weighed in, and that's why they're here tonight to explain to you. So whether it was providing this opportunity to offer an AP government, providing opportunities to offer, I think it was art classes as well, it was art, some things that were moved around, some, again, student requests, having capstone, moving economics, you said, into, was it second semester?
So government, there's only 3 sections, so I have 2 sections of government, of regular government this semester, and only 1 next semester, so I had to get all 88 students to have government to meet that graduation requirement.
Pushes up numbers for next semester.
Correct, yes.
So again,
The economics classes.
and obviously I'm preaching to the choir because I know you are very familiar with scheduling, as am I a little bit, for not so much as the intensity, I think, as at a high school level, but understanding how to balance a schedule, it can be challenging. But we're trying. I guess that's the conversation that we need to have as far as are we gonna really truly look at eliminating programs, potentially losing more students. Where is this going is really good. I guess that's my question.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know, one of you guys maybe remind me, looking at over the summer, when I think both of you guys attended a meeting, I thought there were only like 3 or 4 classes that were under or something at that time. Am I thinking of something different?
No, summer.
It was summer. So there was only like 3 or 4 classes that were projected to be like under 20 or whatever.
Right, and
Like
student
preliminary.
request and student enrollment, because numbers of requests happen in March and April. I do the schedule, and then, our adds and drops are constant. So I think we had 25 high school students that dropped in for various reasons. And then I think we had 20 or 25 come in, and those requests from those new students can be different than the students who left. So that also can play a role, but I have given an explanation for every class in every section that is below the 20. So, and I did, you know, my other wondering, especially with art, is like typically those numbers, like I do believe that this year is a bit of an anomaly, in a little bit of a downward slide. Like that's not something I've seen in the past 3 years that I have been here, that our art numbers there. So, and I can't, you know, predict or.
Well, and to be honest too, because I sat in on those conversations, it's tough to say to a kid, you know, hey, I know you really want to do choir or whatever, but have you thought about art? And like really try and push that, because we know we're trying to get to this number that we're trying to be honoring of with this directive, and trying to have to like sell these types of things to students that might not necessarily be the course path that they want to go to, because we know at the end of the day what we're trying to do is help, you know, retain our staff. So those are kind of the things that are going on for me as a building leader. Is it's like the dance that we're doing to make sure that we are honoring this directive, that we are honoring student choice, that we are still maintaining this amazing standard that we set for ourselves and remaining competitive in the area. There's only one school in a 30-mile radius that ranks higher than us, and it's Armada. I don't know that they have these types of discussions. And that's why we're just trying, as we're comparing ourselves, as we're distinguishing ourselves and continuing to do that, that's the type of thing that is in the back of our heads while we're making these plans.
I'm glad, speaking of art, I'm not picking on a program by any means, but, so like one thing to consider, I mean, from our perspective, or from where we sit in the finance, right?
Of course.
Like that, and district running and stuff like that. So, you know, there's one section 17, one with 18, one with 16. Then we have our middle school art teacher who's coming over to teach a section here. So we have to pay for travel time. So now we're paying travel time for that person to come back and forth. So I truly believe you guys put a lot of work and heart into this. But you know, looking at from our lens too, like, and that would be concerning from this standpoint. Like, is there a way to merge ours? Was there a way to, you know, build something better so that now the district doesn't have to pay for a teacher to have travel time to and from the building? And that's our job. That's what we're charged with.
And I will say, when we had course requests, and again, numbers are not exact, but off the top of my head, as I recall, we had 139 requests for various art courses. So when we built those sections and those schedules, that is, you know, we were confident we were going to be well over that 20 mark based on what the student requests were. So then we had students who left. We had new students come in that maybe didn't have those same requirements or same course requests. We had schedule conflicts with wanting capstone first semester instead of second. Or, you know, so it's like there's so many layers to it. I'm confident that in, you know, again, I wouldn't have expected to be standing in front of you having to create those explanations. I really thought I would have every section above 20, no problem, when I looked at those numbers, and we were very intentional when we built that. So I, in that sense, like that is just kind of like between the schedule conflicts and all of the other things that happened, that is where some of those course sections fell below that 20.
So we're in our 4th or 5th week of school, so when is, I know students drop and start up like, kind of up until like right after Labor Day-ish, right? Is that kind of?
So if a student moves into the district at any
Well,
point,
that
they
is-
can, yeah.
But like when
the drop.
like when is this? You know,
Oh, yeah, September 5th
Fine.
was the deadline for that. Now, the only changes that can be made would be like an academic misalignment, or like an emergency situation. So no, there's not been a lot of movement in the numbers since the 5th when student requests were closed.
Sorry, may I ask a question? what does it cost us to run a class in terms of dollars, students? I know it's kind of intangible, but where did that, to drill down a little deeper, where did that 20-student directive come from? I know we said it, what was the foundation for it? If there's another refreshment.
I'm gonna refer to the board for the 20 number.
Yeah, I was coughing, I didn't hear your entire question, I'm sorry.
Well, so you would expect, right, say it costs $15,000 to run a single class for a semester or something, just making a number out. Is 20, are we making more than that on the students?
So from what I
Is it
recall, this was
costing
actually
us?
brought up when we spoke about it in March, I think, March or April, when we talked, after we had that first discussion with, that meeting with Scott Moreau, and he talked about, you know, in March you should be getting your information from your superintendent about staffing and whatnot. And one of the things that we brought up at that meeting was talking about that 20 number, and we said, you know, at that time, we need to figure out what is that number. For that. I haven't really seen any other information come forward from that. It just has always been previously set from the boards that 20 was the number that, you know, was expected to be in the classroom. I know that even from the previous superintendent, that was carried over from, you know, boards determined in the past. I don't know the last time that was looked at, which is why it was brought up that it should be looked at when we had that discussion.
Mrs. Smith?
Well, I should, sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I would expect, right, like it's a business case, you have 20 students, is it?
It could be 18, yeah, I
Is it
know,
a teacher?
right.
Is
Yep.
it- Or is this just an arbitrary line in the sand that we're following?
I
It's
could
just
share.
dog, you know what I mean?
Mrs. Smith. When I worked at Frank Move, the magic number had to be a minimum of 18. Because otherwise, financially, you were going at a loss. You know, when you look
Right.
at one teacher here, and we're talking that's about $100,000, correct? Now?
It is, I
Yes.
think it's around,
So,
yeah.
as things changed in the state of Michigan, going back to when I came here and Steve Zott was a superintendent, and he was here for many years, 20 was the minimum. And then Mr. Candela came in, and 20 was the minimum. And then Mr. Palomar came in, and 20 was the minimum. And now all of a sudden, we have 26 classes under 20. I mean, we don't, unfortunately, we just don't have the finances to be doing this. You know, we're in a situation, we don't have a sinking fund. We don't have a bond. You know, our community is asking us to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible. And to be honest, we're not doing that.
We don't, I would also back that up and say we don't know that we're not being fiscally responsible by having enough money at this point, maybe even there's some bad.
True.
Right, so that may be a question, what does it cost to run a class? I don't know, I've never really seen a number for that, and we don't know if 20 is appropriate, not appropriate, is it 25, is it 30 kids? Maybe we're woefully underwater.
So, after,
Mrs. Smith?
go ahead.
As secretary, I just want to remind everybody that this is a work session, this is a curriculum committee. And so we do need to make sure that we're not forming the session, and we do need to ask clarifying questions if we are not on the committee.
We are in curriculum, I'm sorry, everybody, I thought we were still in, communication, so I do apologize. Yeah, so curriculum is Ms. Rod, Justin, and Katie. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Fred, so is this, all this time we've had 20 as the mark, has it been met the entirety of the past, or is this
Yes, when I
something?
was the counselor, yes, it was met. We were not allowed to go into the fall of the year unless I had 20 kids in AP history or 20 kids in AP world history. And I remember going to Ron James and he was trying to scrounge kids up to add the class. After I left with Mr. Kalmar, no. He
Okay,
ended
thank
up
you. I was
running
like,
some AP
'cause when I
just a
walked
couple
over
of
here-
AP courses, I believe the ones that his son was in. And that was where an AP number fell below. But prior to that, it was always 20.
Like 100%, 20 or more?
100% registered. Filled in June before I left, the schedule was 100% complete. kids would come in the fall of the year not having done their homework that they needed for AP courses over the summertime, and at that point in time, numbers would drop. I don't recall them dropping below 18. But yes, in the fall of the year, kids have the ability to change their mind. You got kids that transfer out, and so the number 5th, they can't make it until second semester for second semester courses, unless they're academically misplaced in a course right now, and that would have to be up to the teacher as well as the students and the parent to have a conversation and then go to the council with.
So is the bigger concern here more that just the volume, the number of classes that are dropped below 20? I'm just trying to understand.
Well, when I look at it, we had an English teacher resign. To run our English courses for this particular year, they needed to be teaching 4 English classes. If you counted the 8th grade English teacher up into the high school, having her do 1 English 9 class, you would have met the 20. Now what does that take away? That takes away the elective courses that they are offering. But when you look at the gaps in the numbers in some of these courses, you would be filling in them with other individuals teaching a different course, maybe a sociology course, maybe a psychology course, depending upon what the teachers are certified in. And then you would have seen our numbers go up. When you look at our strength classes, we're allowed to have 40 students in strength. We've got a section that has 18. You know, it looks to me like the schedule was created to make sure all the teachers had a spot, including hiring the new English spot. That's what it looks like to me, with my knowledge base of this.
May I address, our English classes, I will say, there's only one section that is below 18, in all of our English sections. And that course had to be offered because I had the rest of the students were gone in the morning for Ed Tech, but I have a group of 11th grade students who are gone in the afternoon for the cosmetology program. So I had to have one section of English 11 in the morning for those students. And so that is the section that is below 20, but every other English section is above 20, even with the hiring of a new teacher.
Correct, and they've been given elective options that are below that they are teaching. So as in the AP courses, whereas they could have been straight English. You know, and I don't want to take away from, you know, we've got amazing educators. We have a wage reopener coming up. I don't know where that is in our process. You know, if we're going to have money to be paying our educators so they're not moving on to other districts, we've got to have money in our fund balance. And with what we've been talking about, you know, for next year already with, what was the dollar amount for technology for next year? 800,000. You know, we've got to have that money set aside, and that's why we're looking at what are all the projects that we have to have done, because that's critical, because we have to have that money. We can't be borrowing on that. So, you know, well, you know how I feel. This was not the directive that was given.
Understood. And for me, just to ask a clarifying question then. If we'd have come to you and said, hey, we took AP language off the table, but we were able to get all of these classes above 20, that would have been a better solution than what we came up with, is what I'm trying to clarify. Because that seems basically when you said, hey, we have electives that, you know, could have been kind of brought back so that students could be back into those straight English classes, and then you mentioned an AP class. To me, that seemed like what we were trying to almost avoid, to offer that diversity of choice and offer those distinguished students, because like to me that, we might have how many kids in AP lang, we have like what, 12 kids. Those kids, I would tell you, those kids would go to dual enrollment. They're not gonna go to straight English 12 for that, or English when they have an opportunity to distinguish themselves in tech. Those are like the kids we're talking about when we say that. And yeah, we probably could have done that, distributed those 12 kids amongst that, and then we wouldn't even be talking about English right now. But we would be talking about the kids who are dissatisfied with that, the kids who are going other places or moving into different areas for course selection versus being stuck in a class that they don't feel that they should be in. So I hear you loud and clear, and if that's where we need to start thinking about from our end to move better and more in line with the board, then I'm willing to make sure that we get that done. But what we're gonna see is we're gonna see that impacted. And that I mean, if we don't offer those classes, we don't offer those points of distinguishing marks for our students, that's what's gonna happen. And if that's what we wanna do, we'll do it. We're happy to do it. I certainly don't want it to be seen like we were trying to spread classes apart and thin us out to keep teaching retention, so much as, like I said, it's a balance of, are we being competitive for our students, and are we competitive as a district for the health and longevity of our high school building, and are we being mindful of the fact that we do have staff here, again, who put in a lot of time and effort, and we're trying to make sure that we maximize their use in the building. So I hear you loud and clear, and I apologize, I'll tell you that much, because I certainly didn't want to move away from the directive that was given to us. It's just trying to honor all of those different moving pieces while we're doing this. If there's a different way we need to move, though, then we'll move that way.
Just to clarify, Mr. Shapiro, we can't direct you.
Of course,
That
no.
direction will come from-
Yeah, absolutely. And
I just didn't want you to think we were answering you.
no, I'm sorry, and that directly formed this
And I think it's only fair, and I know that I have Mr. Steer and Mrs. Arad, and I think I've already said it, the directive was 20.
Yep.
I just want to, the directive was 20. There were outliers and other things that were impacting the schedule, and that's what they're here for tonight, was to provide that verbiage tonight. Again, providing all opportunities, as many as we can for our students, and maximizing our talented staff as well. So it's really kind of a combined effort here that we're trying to do what's right by our kids, and I think proof is in the pudding as well, with a lot of the test scores and achievement that you're looking at. That is not just done. That's done because we have excellent, educators in the classrooms too. So that is a hill I would die on, that we have absolutely wonderful, staff members that are providing great programming for our kids. But do I understand the fiscal responsibility? And that's exactly what I shared with my team, is that there's a fiscal responsibility to this, to your point. So breaking it down, whether it's by class or looking at a ratio and sticking to that, I know that Ms. Fred, you said that it wasn't below the 20. I don't think that was, again, and you're saying maybe in AP areas, maybe a few outliers, I'm not sure, some of the classrooms. When I walked over, it was definitely below 20.
Correct.
Yeah, it was below 20.
That was with Dr. Kalmar.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I just want to share, number one, our staff is the best. They are absolutely wonderful, and we have been. And we have been with a little higher numbers in courses. So, and I'm not talking 35, 36, 37 like we had back in the day when things got really bad. I'm talking 30 kids in the American history class. 3 sections, we've got 4. 29, 30 kids, that's not, we have to be better at being fiscally responsible. We have to be.
Ms. Friend, can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
Mr. Rod, you said every senior has to take capstone?
Yes.
So on the 2 classes though, there's only 46 students signed up, and we have 95 in 12th grade.
This is the second semester.
Second?
That's a one semester.
It's a one
Oh,
semester
that's right.
course.
Okay. it's
Yep.
just a
So
one-
the rest are
I
in
got you, I was like,
second
oh my God.
Yeah.
I got you, okay. Thank you.
Mrs. Fred,
Yes.
the point has been brought up, and I do remember back in the spring, we did talk about competitiveness, right? Remaining competitive, I think Mr. Burrow threw out like, should we offer esports, right, or something like that. So there's validity to the point of offering diverse class selections, but it kind of flies right in the face of the directive of 20, or,
It's a
potentially.
balancing act, absolutely, it's a balancing act.
So, have we provided a little bit of conflicting, I mean, yeah, okay, there's the directive of 20, but yet we still want to be diverse, right? So I think we need to take, if we're talking about one, we should be talking about both, so that we balance, like, we keep them in balance, I guess.
And Mrs. Norad, well, no, just the board, I think that for Michigan Virtual, it's section 1621F, we're not allowed to deny. And you have to give a written reason to every student that you deny a course, even if that course is offered here. So we just have to make sure that we're following what's legislated.
Yes, and those happen, yes.
Mrs. Fred, may I ask a clarifying comment
Yes.
of the speakers? So, based off of what's up there, and scheduling new, so bear with me here. If we kept the instructional amount the same, I know there's teacher concern about like layoff or whatnot. So if we kept the same amount of staff, but we took some of these courses, people mentioned strength and a couple of the English classes, and made those class sizes bigger, wouldn't we not be able to then redirect our teachers to offer more class choice because they would have more openings in their schedule because of the class load? So I'm thinking that we can accomplish both of these things. And if we increase class size a little bit, we could offer some more diverse programming with the same amount of money that we are now, and also reduce the budget and make our school more attractive with choices. Am I saying that correctly? Okay.
How are we, I'm sorry, I just have to go back to, how would we be reducing, I guess that's what I'm.
Well, it's
I mean fiscally,
Well,
you're saying it would maintain, it would be the same fiscally. You're just asking that if we're moving teachers around and we're offering less sections of whatever ELA and we're building up that class size, we're opening up opportunities like electives, for example, is that what you're saying?
that would attract more
Maintaining.
students or maintain our student counts. Because I know that the presentation you made like maybe 4 months ago,
Yeah.
you had mentioned that was a big point, a driving point was that, hey, we don't offer as much as people in like other districts offer. And
Yeah.
I would think that would be a way, without spending more money, to offer more programs, to maybe increase class sizes, to maybe increase student revenue. But I don't know.
Yeah, so exactly. So to your point, and again, I definitely hear you, and that definitely works without taking into consideration all the potential schedule conflicts that would increase like tenfold by that. And then we might run into situations where we have an elective class that, students aren't even interested in, even though teachers put it on a course, and then we have to figure out how do we create another section of strength, and then we're back with 18 strength kids.
Right.
And so that's the only reason why, like, that type of thing can be even more complicated than what we currently are doing, just because of the different scheduling conflicts.
Okay.
Mrs. Smith. I think, though, that one of the things that our superintendent is saying that she needs is another elective teacher. You go to 4 sections of the strength, let's just example of the strength. That teacher could then be used over at the middle school for a class. And if you did that with several of these courses, you've got your elective teacher. I think that there are ways that you can look at 8th graders maybe taking the Spanish 1. Although Spanish 1 numbers are good. I mean, there are things that can be looked at to...
And Ms. Fred, to your point, because of the numbers where they settled, those are conversations that we have started. For example, with the art position, those are conversations we have had since these numbers have I guess, settled, if you will. I have approached the high school administration with some ideas.
Well, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that anything can be done this year. The schedule is the schedule. To ask Mrs. Norad to create another schedule is ridiculous because it's extremely time consuming. So, you know, this is $100,000 to me of money that we've wasted. And we don't have the money to do that
$100,000 meaning
for a teacher.
a teacher that's not yet in place?
No, teacher, you hired an English teacher.
Oh,
or you
I'm
didn't
sorry, you're talking about the
necessarily.
English.
So in this schedule, because we did hire, it's $100,000 that we just spent. And that's consuming, because you know that we're struggling financially.
Well, that's why we're here tonight, to provide the narrative. To me, I didn't see it as black and white. I was looking to, I think, all of us were looking to achieve the balance. Whether that was achieved or not, or in the board's eyes, that's why we're presenting tonight. But there are other considerations. Right now, we currently do not have a middle school art teacher secured. And those are some of the discussions we talked about, as far as how it's maybe to move that person around. So that's still open for more discussion. The ELA teacher, I will tell you transparently, that was not brought to my attention, so I don't know, I guess I don't know where that narrative is coming from as far as you said that the ELA teacher, having that person.
You had an actual
Keeping that.
retirement from ELA.
Correct, yes.
Correct. And you chose to hire for that position again when you didn't necessarily have to. And that had been discussed back in May when we were looking at budget discussion.
No, but as far as the needs to, I guess the needs to have the ELA requirements met, meant that we needed that fifth ELA teacher from my team.
That's not correct.
Okay.
And I can share that with you.
Okay.
anytime
So
if you'd like.
just so you, yeah, so it looks like we have opposing views on that, so, okay.
Clarifying statement or comment, I think what Ms. Brett also was saying in regards to like hiring that ELA teacher, and I don't know, so I won't even tell you, I'm not sure, how everybody is trained and what type of, certifications they have for teaching and stuff like that. But if it was somebody who also could, like you said, maybe not have 4 sections, something have 3, and then if they were in English, could teach English, was all of that considered and looked at? Is that kind of what you're?
Right, I mean, I'm saying that with the number of students that you have in each grade level, 8 through 12 right now, you need 16 sections of English, and that would be at numbers like 25 to 26 kids in a class, which is really premier type numbers, and that's all that you would need, but they couldn't teach then any AP courses. They wouldn't have any electives that they'd be teaching. So the 8th grade English teacher would not be teaching a careers course. They would be picking up a high school course. And this year's done. I mean, it's done. I'm certainly not asking anybody to make changes, but a lot of money.
I think everybody had come to agreement, we would like to understand the costs, right, like how you brought up, Adam. I think that would be a good point for us to start looking into.
Can I make a clarifying statement, I guess? I think that in terms of the Newsweek and such, it's great advertisement for the school, fantastic advertisement. I think you're seeing a lot of these classes under 20 being STEM-related classes, algebra, physics, chemistry. And I'm happy to see the AP stuff on here, even though it's under 20. I think that helps us in this, so that is part of balancing. You get higher ratings here, you get more advertisement, but you have lower class sizes. Maybe,
Thanks.
Okay. I'm just saying, that's part of balancing.
No, it is. It's a huge balancing act. It
Yes, sir. And just one other clarifying statement from building and site. The impact of I know Mr. Wade has brought up in the last, at least twice this year, that our instructional expense is higher than any other comparable district in our area. And that might be leading to, and I'm sure it is partly leading to why we're succeeding, but we're also sacrificing building and site stuff that needs to be fixed, that we don't have a system fund anymore for. So just to keep that in mind as a board, to keep that in mind that if we want to fix tennis courts, or have, we may not have the money to fix a middle school gym when it floods, we have to be conscious of all that as well, so.
Thank you both.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to curriculum, we were going to reschedule, or we need to reschedule our Ed Tech tour date. For those of you who are interested in touring the Ed Tech Center, the principal did reach out to me to see if we would be interested in rescheduling that. I did ask her what would be the best timestamp, and she did mention that if we're looking to see our Almont kids in action, she's recommending a 12:30 to 2 o'clock tour, so like an afternoon tour. So I'm looking at my calendar. I don't know if you can get your calendars out to kind of see what might work, and I don't know if all 7 have to be present, but I was looking at kind of mid-October-ish. And I do know, coupled with that, which I'm sorry to steal any thunder here, Mr. Frederick, but we are looking at potentially like October 22nd as a potential to piggyback a fall walkthrough date to kind of schedule 2 things. So hitting 2 birds with 1 stone, I guess, or on the same date, because we're going to have to reschedule the fall walkthrough. What date was that originally, Jason? Was that September 30th? And there's a change in that, so we had to move that. So my new recommendation or suggested date, would we have enough participation on October 22nd to do an Ed Tech tour from 12:30 to 2? Would that give you time to arrange your work schedules?
Wednesday's a terrible day for you.
Well,
Right?
And here's the other thing, I picked another day, the 23rd.
just from
I have the 23rd, so on that note, I did pick out a couple days. So Wednesday's the 22nd, the 23rd is a Thursday. So if that works better, again, just trying to maybe, hit 2 birds with 1 stone, and we could do the Ed Tech tour first from 12:30 to 2. Come back, and then Jason could take us on the tour through the campus. It is, it's outside. So not probably wanting to go too much later than October 22nd. We could be looking at some inclement weather conditions, but didn't know who was open to that, October 23rd, 12:30 to 2, to do an Ed Tech tour. Do I have a handful? Katie, I have you, Russell, Anna?
So you would do 12:30 to 2 at Ed Tech?
The Ed Tech
come back
Center.
here,
Yep, come back here, and then we would do the, whoever's available, right, to do the walkthrough, if that would work. And I guess it doesn't have to be the same group of people attending both. I just thought I would try to nail down one date, so a couple things could be taken care of, if that helps.
I'll try to make the Ed Tech, I'm not sure if I can that day, but then we'll try to make that.
So I have Katie, Russell, Adam, maybe Janaea going on that tour, is that right? And then the 23rd, then coming back approximately, like I'd say around 2:30, 2:45, we would be then joining Jason for the outdoor tour.
How long would that be? Just trying to stack up time, right?
Sure.
12:30 to 2:30.
I think it's the outdoor tour. Is that about an hour, a little bit over?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half, maybe?
I just want to make sure I'm here to take care of.
Yeah.
100%.
Kids.
Yeah. So does that work? for
Does
the-
that work? I sure.
Pardon?
Does that date work for you?
I'm not gonna go on the Ed Tech tour, I've been there and done
Okay.
that, so I'll pass it that one, but
Will you do
thank you.
the walkthrough on the?
Yes, I'm planning on being here for the
Okay,
walkthrough.
perfect.
So if you mark your calendars, then I'll put that again in your board note as a reminder too.
23rd,
Yes,
correct?
the 23rd, yeah. So then we can And I'll probably, those of you who are gonna be going, just making sure that we are at the Ed Tech Center then by 12:30. So she can start her tour on time. And that's Mrs. Cowie, she's the principal at the Ed Tech Center. Thank you, appreciate that. Yes.
Can you, direct, I've never been there, can you direct
Sure.
me where I need
Yeah.
to meet in the
Yeah,
board down site?
100%.
Where to go?
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
just note that.
100%, I'll send the address and we'll meet right in front of the
Okay,
building and all that good
Okay,
stuff.
Yeah, like where, like.
Perfect.
It's a
if
great
there's any parking
question.
That's my
restrictions or any, like,
question.
Yeah, no, there's just an open parking lot, but yes,
Okay.
I will provide those details for you. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to building and site, and that will be with Mr. Frederick.
Kind of catching up on what Mrs. Bonnet just talked about as far as moving the walkthrough date. I have a procedure on Friday, 9/26, so a week from this coming Friday, that will limit my physical presence in the district for a couple weeks. I just want to assure everybody that my preparation steps for the district during any absent times will be very similar to what we experienced in February of 2024. And for the 3 existing board members, as well as Mrs. Bond, I can attest to, it was a seamless transition for me to work a sort of hybrid schedule, still having staff on the ground, utilizing Mrs. Vaughn. Amanda will be my, we're actually going to share emails with her to where, as far as work orders coming in. I'm not going to announce it to the staff like I did when I went out in February, just because I'll be in a position where I'll still be able to field all calls and set up a little sub-base at home. I just coming in to the district will just be just gonna not to. So with that being said, that was one of the reasons to move that walk, because I don't feel that I would be able to attend it, but we've already kind of secured that date for 10/23. So moving on, the track. With the exception of the runways for the pole vault and the long jump, the final spray was completed today. So that puts us in a spot where, bear with me here, that if the natural progression of things, give it 2-3 days, they can come in and do the striping and be done. But of course, we're going to have a walk, and we're waiting to set up times to where we then be offered to building and site once we coordinate with Star Trek, that we'll do a walk of the existing track before we do the striping. We are in the process of scheduling the runways. They've assured me that they wanted to get the track done so that we weren't doing any more movement for any other extracurriculars for the track in that area, and that we can get back to maintaining that area as well and not having to stay off where we have. And they'll get those areas done before the weather. And when they do come out, they said that it won't be a process like we experienced during the track. It'll be a lot faster process for doing those 2 areas. So,
I'm sorry, Jason.
Yes.
So why is it faster? They don't have to.
They're not doing a latex, they're doing a polyurethane for those areas.
Oh.
So they're able to just jam it out.
Oh, that's the one code?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
So they decided.
So we got a little bit of polyurethane.
Got a little bit of the outside.
Last month I reported that the fire panel was complete, up and running. It is one of the things that we were waiting on to finalize that completion of that project was the state emission inspection that will take place next week. So once we get that okay from the inspector, then we can officially say that fire panel installation is complete. The door project was completed within the past month. And you'll see that, which was part of the bill submitted. And we're on to the drinking fountain, water bottle fill stations. The high school is near completion. They look fabulous. Of course, there's some, as you see in the cafeteria, we had to take down a billboard because the bottle fill is taller. So we're going to have to come up with what we're going to do. If we're going to paint that area, of course, there's no paint that'll match that, so the entire wall. So there's little beauty things like that that'll have to be done. So when I say it's near completion, I mean that with the exception of the ladies' locker room, which they ran electricity for it today, that one has to sit because we had to do obviously some electrical and plumbing work to that one. We have to have that inspected before they can hang the actual unit. So it's going to sit in limbo for a bit. Same thing, they've moved on to the middle school here. And what we're going to see is the initial pull-out of the existing stations. They'll do their plumbing work, they'll board it off to where it's protected, the children are, it's out of harm's way. And then once they're inspected, then it's just a matter of They just put the drinking stations back on. During this time, I've instructed them that they will not disconnect the bottle fill station that we have until we have not only the ones down here, but until we get at least one down that way so that we're diversified. And then, once those are done, the goal is that these are all gonna be done by the end of the month so that we can turn all these drinking stations that we've been renting for the past few years, be able to get those turned in. So, the company that we deal with that has those, they've been really nice about it, even though this legislation and some of the things that, bottle fill stations is taking money out of their pockets, but they've been really good to work with. Moving on to the water event that occurred on the 28th of August, which was due to a shut-off valve that was faulty and came apart. We've completed the water mitigation. We're currently working with SETSEG, our property claims consultant, there's some cabinetry that's going to be replaced in the, I'm going to call the copier room of the main office, the copier room of the staff lounge, as well as there's some of the wallpaper board, a few carpet squares. There's some content that's been inventoried, so I'm working with SETSEG on those things. As far as the gym goes, we caught it really early, but there are a few things that just happen whenever there's a water event. I had a representative from Varsity Flooring, whom I consider to be an expert in flooring matters. They've been doing the flooring. They're one of the best in the state. They're the ones that actually did our floor this summer. They said that we should be hopefully optimistic, but we are experiencing some cupping when you first go in, and it's just one of those things that they said that happens. We did great by getting the water out and getting the blowers underneath the floor and whatnot. We're just going to have to watch those areas as it dries out naturally on its own. The moisture content is down. That the mitigation company removed their stuff, but we just need to let it do that. The maple floor has to do its own thing. And there is a slight bulge that's no bigger than the size of a 5-gallon bucket. None of these pose any sort of a tripping fall risk, but they're just things for us to watch. If they get any bigger or any worse, then we'll have to maybe take some action, especially for the area that's kind of buckling a little bit. So, but they assured me that if it does go any further, that get a hold of them, they can come out and still do some stuff to salvage, any sports to at least get us into the summertime, and then we'll potentially look at if the cupping doesn't go away, how bad is it? Do we want to look at sanding it down? Just them portions, not complete. So we'll address those areas.
Next summer?
Yes, yeah,
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Does that,
Sure.
cover through insurance no matter when you find?
Yes, so what's been the process here in the district, and I kind of followed my predecessor, we don't close the plant for a while. Okay. Because especially when it comes, we were dealing with electronics, you guys, the district was dealing with electronics, and you don't know, we have a power outage, and, we haven't fired up our ACs yet to see if there was any, circuitry damage there. So in this particular case, I explained it to our gentleman from SETSEG to include, party squares very similar in the office space. We got a couple coming up now. What happens after a couple months of people walking on them, and then we get a whole bunch that start popping up? It's things like that that yeah, we'll definitely keep
I
this
see
open.
how that works.
Yep, as well as it's documented. So yeah, we'll keep it.
Thank you.
Mr. Burrow, Mr. Burrow,
Yeah.
The areas of the floor of concern, I haven't been in there, like, is that off of the plant, like, the actual
Yes,
outside
yes,
the bounds?
yes,
of the
and
basketball
oddly enough,
court?
it is. It's, now I have to go look and see some of the grade volleyball areas towards the entrances there on the north side. But yes, it is, it's luckily, it's just in those areas there. So, and it's just enough that, it's one of those when you catch it in the light, you kind of look at it, you can kind of follow it and see it, so.
Okay.
We'll just continue to monitor and go from there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you will. So, now with that being said, this wasn't on my notes, but I do want to add this. I am going to start getting, one of the things with that particular valve that we have on all of these toilets here, and we've already talked about, energy bonds and things that we could do with money, stuff like that. That particular valve is obsolete. They don't make it anymore. So it makes you wonder if there's a reason why that's not there. So is this something that we should, I'm going to get some pricing to see the district utilizing its own savings by purchasing the materials where we did have a labor rate that possibly over a break time, shut the building down, be able to.
Talking about being proactive.
Do a mass replacement to where we can avoid, insurance or not. This happened at the most, if there's ever an opportune time for a disaster to happen. The Thursday before holiday week, and we had Friday off.
Right.
We had the holiday, and then the Tuesday, which was just the PD day. If that would have happened on a Monday, that would have been a tough call from Ms. Dunn. So, what do you do? Because there was literally, did you guys see the pictures?
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot. And so.
A little bit more.
A little bit. But, we gotta take care of it.
Yeah.
And it was taken care of, so. Big thanks to our mitigation team that came out. They did a really good job, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to finance. Yeah, finance, we have, Mr. Wade, who's not present.
Mr.
Fred,
Burrows,
who's like-
you would step in.
You standing in? Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So in looking at finance, checks written, Mrs. Smith, you have
I
anything?
had, bear with me for 1 second, Kathy.
Sure.
I was looking at 46388 and then 392, 393, 394, 396, and they're all, they look like tennis or volleyball or cross country. And it's just prompting a question. Is that, and the rates are like all over 150, and you might be able to help with this, Ms. Brad, 200, 250, 250. Is that a charge to play in a district? Is that a fee to get into a
Tournaments. If you're going into tournaments, a lot of times that would be the fee to get into a tournament. So because we have such a small conference, I think we only play them once and then a tournament at the end of the season. Volleyball's allowed 18 play dates, so they have to fill their dates, usually with weekend tournaments or quads. So it's really kind of helping to pay for officials when you go.
And then other schools, when we host a quad, would pay here.
Correct.
Do we know what we charge?
Well, we're not hosting any this year, so I have to admit, I don't know what the going rate is.
Because one of these was a cross-country meet at Cass City High School, and that was like $150 fee, and then there was another one in Marine City that was $250. I was hoping Mr. Wade would be here. I just wondered if we're on the mark with what we charge or whatever.
Yeah, so that one for 150 is entry fee for cross country, and then I noticed the one for and that was for Cass City High School. Avondale Athletics is $300, and they have their contract here, and that is for soccer. So
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
I didn't know what we charge for
Right.
that stuff. That was the question.
Is that a question for Mr. Zoom?
Huh?
So is that a athletic director question?
I'm not sure who it would be.
Do you need to put it on the follow-up?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you so much. And then I guess the other check was 46423. That was Camp Skyline. I think was that for the PD day? Probably.
Yes.
And that's grant funded.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. And then it had one for 46464. It looks like it's Go Guardian, the software agreement. I just wondered if that was for like 25,000. If that was the year, a half a year, a quarter.
It is 1 year.
1 year. Perfect. I was hoping it was.
I know,
I was hoping. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Burrow, did you have any?
I do not.
Okay. And I'll pass on that as well, so we're all set with that. Account balances. Mrs. Smith, did you have any questions regarding any of the account balances?
I did not.
Mr. Burrow?
Did we schedule the, I remember Mr. Wade had asked if there was for a breakdown on the athletic
Actually, I think that,
account budget, was that, am I in the right area for that? I want to do due diligence, because I remember he asked for that to be broken down.
Yes, and I can tell you that that's in progress, almost completed. I
Okay.
believe next week, we actually had a chance to speak with both Mrs. Lemon and Mr. Zimmerman, and just want to make sure a couple of those documents are accurate before it's shared with the coaches. So we kind of set the deadline, I believe, for next Friday.
Next Friday.
Yeah.
okay, and I didn't have any questions regarding that. So moving on to the student activity accounts, Mrs. Smith,
I didn't have anything.
Mr. Burrow,
Nope.
and I had none. Number 4 was contract approvals. Mrs. Smith?
I'm reading over my fact.
Oh.
Board fact, there's a board note to
Oh,
go along with
okay.
it. I know, so just, we can start getting into this. So the Board of Education approves the employment contracts of all personnel. We have many staff members that are not part of any collective bargaining agreements and thus have an individual contract with the Board of Education for duties to which they are assigned. And the recommended compensation updates have been discussed, reviewed with the board. Again, this is, there's an individual contract that needs to be updated due to the reassignment of that position in the preschool program.
Mrs. Smith, did you have any questions regarding that? Mr. Burrow?
So is it two?
And so I'd say that it's 3 oh yes?
Is it three? Okay.
3, yes, Mr. Burrow stepping into Mr.
Okay.
Wade.
Perfect.
Do you have something you're reading on the next?
Yes, I am. Next one, the letter of agreement. Yes, I am. The Board of Education approves the employment contracts of all personnel. Our ACS paraeducators recently initiated contact with the Michigan Education Association, the MEA, to explore formal representation. As a result, they have chosen to join the Almont Education Support Personnel Association, which already represents other support staff within the district. This step reflects their commitment to strengthening their collective voice and ensuring continued support for the important work they do for our students. The attached letter of agreement will solidify this change. And this is for 7 paraeducators that service our students, just so you know the number there.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Is there, Ms. Vaughn, is there any impact on our budget by doing this?
I think the amount, the 5%, it's the 5% increase was already accounted for in this. They were granted, for example, the same what we're trying to do across the board for example, like Active God Days, those are already kind of built in. So I think there were a couple extensions for a benefit, if you will, for personal leave day. Because, you know, to have them, and I think that was part of maybe one of their issues or concerns, is that they didn't have those days built in, whereas now being part of this collective group, it's a benefit, if you will, for them. But I believe that was, you know, really, there wasn't a lot of changes per se, other than probably a couple benefits added to these 7 paraeducators who service our students, so.
And then in the future, I think that, you know, would be them being a part of a bargaining unit, it could potentially be more that they would receive because they're part of a bargaining unit, which I'm fine with, so. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for that support. They're very, very hopeful, and they do work hard. Thank you. I appreciate that. Moving on to our state aid budget options. So this one here. There's just a lot in this packet. Just bear with me for a second here. It's all the same. The Board of Education awards bids to contract for any services exceeding $15,000, policy 6320. Number 1 fact, due to the state of Michigan not yet finalizing the school funding budget, the district will need to establish a source of funding to bridge the gap until state funding is provided. 2 options will be presented, a state aid note or an issuance of notes in anticipation of taxes. Both of the options are based on what movement may occur within the state funding timeline. 3, if the state passes a budget by September 30th, then no action may need to be taken. 4, if the state issues a partial amount by October 2nd, then the issuance of anticipated taxes would be the most sensible option, with the district only needing to borrow $740,000. If the state does not approve any payments be made to the school districts, then a state aid note in the amount of $1,300,000 will be needed to meet payroll and accounts payable needs. So once decided in the work session, the fact sheet will be revised to only reflect the board choice for borrowing. And I would invite Mrs. Miracle to the conversation too if you have questions specifically about those options. As that, of course, has been recent work and follow through that had to be brought to you tonight. And again, just a reminder, yes, we don't have any, right, there's no word from the state for their state aid budget. So that's why we're in this position.
And that was, I wanted to know if anything had come out even today. And
I have not received anything from my organization, Mrs. Maryville.
The governor made a speech, but I'll reserve my comments on it.
I guess as the new finance guy, I have a question. Like, it says we have to decide one of these two right now, but we won't know which action we're taking until October 2nd. So, like, do we have to have a special committee meeting to decide which one of these we're taking?
So the advice given to us from Troon was to have these two options ready to go. Upon the date of October 1st, if we do not have a state budget passed. There is discussion that it's possible the state could push some money to each district October 1st if they don't reach a settlement September 30th, in which case we would only need to do the tax anticipation of $740,000. But if they do not, this is the problem, is that we had not had any payments since October 20th. And if there's no September budget passed, we will not get a payment in October, and we will not get a payment until November 20. So we will struggle to meet payroll for October 30 and November 15. So we will need to borrow. So it's hard because we don't know what the state is going to do. Right now, worst case scenario is that we won't receive any funding until November 20. So we just want to have a contingency plan and make sure that our staff and our bills are paid. And that's kind of what we're presenting. I did some research, and there hasn't been a state budget passed since 2007 and 2009. So here we are in 2025, looking at a state shutdown. So to keep everything going smoothly, we have these two options. And so it was advised to us that we just have them ready to go. October 1st, if there's still no state budget, then October 2nd, the plan is to go out for solicitation of bids, probably from Choice 1 in Huntington, because we had received our last state aid note from Choice 1. And then, we would, be able to act on that, and because the timing, if we, the timing of receiving those bids, accepting a bid, the wired money by October 16th, it's a timing. We would really need some funding at that date.
I'm confused. So you're saying that we have both options ready, but on here it says pick one.
We would only pick one on October 1st, once the state tells us what they're going to do.
So we don't need to do this until October 1st, correct?
We were advised to have them signed and ready to go. Or else you would have to have a special meeting October 1st.
Well, I guess my confusion is number 4 of the facts say, hey, this is the better decision. And then number 5 of the facts says, like, if they don't do anything at all, you have to do this. How do I know now which one's going to happen so that you guys can have it ready? If I can't motion them both.
We don't know what the state's going to do today.
Right.
We might know what the state's going to do by our board meeting on the 22nd.
Okay.
Or we might not know anything until
Right, yeah,
October
right.
1st. And so we would do either or, and just have both ready to go, so that if they did push money to us, every district, October 1st, it would subsidize at least and get us through the rest of October, and then we would only need to be concerned about November. But if they don't do anything, which would, I'm sure a lot of irate districts would be, in a hard spot, then we would need to do the 1.3 million state aid note.
Mrs. Fred?
Yes.
Clarifying question. So is the action for the committee right now just to approve the district to take whichever relevant step is needed at that time? Or just like a pre-approval to take the appropriate step?
That's what
Yes.
my understanding was.
Yeah.
And for your conversation
So the
with
committee and the approval here that you're going for is just like
the
giving you
pre-approval, the
the
nod.
right to
Yes.
choose whichever option is
Yes.
the correct option at the time.
Yes.
I have a question in regards to this. So, where do we stand with our audit? Because we had anticipated that we would have had a decent general fund. Is that the case? And can we make this dollar amount that we would potentially be borrowing be less?
As far as I consulted with Kenny, our auditor, is that the changes that he sees so far do not affect the general fund balance. So our 3.8 general fund balance is pretty rock solid. It might increase slightly as it does every year, which is completely normal. Which the status of the audit is they're coming back on the 29th just to finalize things and wrap it up. Just as a side note, but with the cash flow that I've done the analysis is that we'll burn through that 3.8 real quick. With our monthly payroll, our monthly accounts payable, that's about $2 million a month.
So, real quick means November. So we could actually put this off into October because we have that money in our general fund?
We would, if the state does not give us any funding at all in October, we would need funds October 16th to cover the October 20 payroll, or the October 30 payroll, and our October 20 accounts payables. It would be a great shortfall after October 15th.
Okay, well, and that's what I'm counting on you to have the best understanding of that.
So the fund balance doesn't have enough in it to cover both of them, what you're saying?
Correct.
Right. Doesn't have enough to cover one of them.
Because we didn't get a payment in September, which is normal. And if we don't get a payment in October, then we're looking at going from August 20 to November 20 without any funding, that's 90 days.
Right, I'm thinking, so like obviously there's interest rate on borrowed money and stuff, so if it was, we could use the fund balance to cover one area, isn't that less money that we're borrowing and less interest that we have to pay back? Am I thinking of this right?
I mean, that makes sense.
That's why we have the two plans ready to go. If they did push some of the money, some funding to us, to get us through October, we would only need to borrow $740. But if there's no funding at all, the 3.8 in fund balance that we have will not get us to November 20.
So the sum money that you're saying, like if they give us some money, you're using the fund balance to help with that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, to subsidize, yes. Yeah.
Mrs. Smith, do you have any further questions?
Aren't you on the committee? You're on finance committee, right?
Yeah, but I'm the one.
She's chairing for
She's
Yeah.
chairing.
It's been a long
I
day
know,
already.
we're all a little
Long
sleepy, I
day.
can tell.
So Mrs. Smith, do you have any
Seeing
questions?
doubles.
Any further questions?
I think, like Russ is saying, we shouldn't do anything on this until closer to, that kind of what you're.
the way this is worded, we can't decide at this work session unless if we're deciding that we're doing 4 and 5.
Having both options
If-
available. to
Yes,
be
That's what we
used.
want the
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
options.
Because this says once decided in the work session, this fact sheet's gonna be revised to one or the other, but like,
That's where I'm getting confused.
yeah, it won't be revised until we know
Correct.
Okay.
which one it is.
Correct.
And then we're gonna have to have if it's not decided by the Monday meeting, we would have to have a special meeting in order to pass this.
Right, that's what I
Correct.
asked in the beginning, why it's on one or the other, but then we have information on both of them.
So,
Was
so
that
what,
maybe a
what the,
miss? I'm sorry, Kathy,
It's
because
not
I know,
right.
because I understand what the board is saying, Kathy. I don't know, I know that you worked together with Amanda to put this together, but it just says at the bottom, that's what the confusion is, that once decided in the work session, this fact sheet will be revised to only reflect the board choice for borrowing. So I thought it was like more of the understanding that we would have these two options. It's almost like a pre-approval from the board
Yes.
for both of these options. So depending on what happens with the state and how they come through or don't come through, we have the pre-approval to move on these options. Am I
Yes,
saying that
correct,
correct? So I don't think it was stated maybe clear on
Right.
on the fact sheet. That's where I think the confusion
So this
lies.
is just a committee saying 3-0, we can move forward with this, and then we can vote on it at Monday's meeting, hoping we get further clarification from the state as to what's going on.
Yes.
so,
correct?
so
Yes.
if we know by Monday we're doing we can do option 4. If we don't know by Monday, it could still be option 5 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then by October 1st, we would know that it's gonna have to be 5.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, so
But
that's
then-
what we are recommending
So
as a
then, but
committee.
we're not making a decision about the money.
Correct.
We're letting them make the decision about the money. Should we have a meeting where we make that decision?
It would have to be a special board meeting.
I understand that.
Yes, I mean,
Are we doing
I'm
it
not
at
opposed
6:30
to
AM
that.
on October 1st?
I don't think you need to make it, just like, I mean, the decision is either number 4, if we know by October 1st, and if we don't know, then you have to do it, like number 5, there is no other
Correct.
choice.
Yeah.
So, we can borrow less money if we know by October 1st that they're giving us a partial, otherwise we have to borrow 1.3 million.
Mhm.
Like, there is no negotiation or choice, we need 1.3 million, so.
Mrs. Fred, I think that's why, maybe the fact sheet is just wrong in what it stated, because I think they were seeking just a pre-approval, like, make the
Yeah,
appropriate
I think
choice
this,
Right.
yeah,
without a special board.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes.
I think there
I
was,
have-
I think there was some hope that maybe that
Yeah.
a decision was gonna be made by the time that maybe when that was
Yeah.
made, so,
Yep.
yeah. So,
Okay.
didn't wanna confuse, I think this is a pre-approval, to move.
Pre-approved.
Yep, pre-approval, yep, pre-approval.
I'm on board with it, yes.
Okay.
Ms. Burrow?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Reluctantly.
Yes, and I just want to clarify that we're approving using option 4 if we can, and option 5, because it's not at the writing reflects here for the committee, so.
Correct.
Yes.
So if we can have that cleaned up then for Monday's meeting,
Okay.
that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you for preparing all that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some of us are not finance majors, so we appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to tax rate request. The Board of Education sets the levy for each fiscal year within statutory limitations determined by district voters. Facts, the district has levied 3 mills for purposes of meeting its debt retirement obligations since 1986. The board certifies that total levy, as well as the amount of the total levy to be applied to each of the district's outstanding debts. Notice of our levy needs to be provided to our local tax entities by September 30th. The amounts to be applied to the district's various debt obligations are as follows. 2013 debt is 0.75, 2016 R 1.95, 2021 R/12 0.30, the total being 3 mills. Number 3, the levies necessary for each debt obligation were calculated utilizing forms provided by the Treasury Department, form used for school bond loan applications. It's appropriate to establish our rates in order that we meet our notification deadlines.
Mr. Burrow, do you have any questions regarding that?
Just a quick question, because I know we're already going late. Is there a reason why they don't keep the mills higher so that it pays off faster and they reduce the mills? Like,
You can't over-collect.
okay.
Mrs. Smith? We're in favor of 3-0.
It's
Yeah.
7.
Okay. The next one, from what I understand, for the donation approval, that this was going to be tabled for now for more information. Do I have that right? I don't know if there's any discussion there, but we're looking to get more information regarding our scoreboard. And then moving on to dollars and cents, a little play on words there. I know that Mrs. Merrifield can provide just a very quick snapshot of what that looks like. Kathy, we're fading here, but we want to we appreciate the effort that whether it's going to be monthly or every other month, providing a little bit of some finance education, shall we say. So I'll turn it over to you, Kathy, for a minute.
Thank you. And I've been editing what I'm going to say shorter as the time goes. I just wanted to give an opportunity to share with the board things that I'm learning as I go through. And one of the big things, I wanted to present a simplified example and make it clear of a somewhat complicated formula for calculating our monthly state aid payments, because enrollment plays a huge factor in it. So the spreadsheet in your financial package, now it's 940, I just wanted to generalize and say the main method for calculating the state aid is that student aid membership is calculated by 90% of your current fall FTE plus 10% of the preceding supplemental, which is the spring FTE. For the first few payments, the membership is a projection based on previous years. So there's nothing cut and dry about any of this. So that's kind of cool. So I wanted to give you a snapshot of what fiscal year 25 looked like. And I wanted to help explain that to calculate state aids, this enrollment blend of 90% of fall and 10% of the preceding spring. And then for kicks, for fun, they also assume that you're going to collect 18 mils of your non-primary resident exemption and 6 mils of your commercial property tax values to subsidize the entire per pupil foundation amount. So, for example, if you look at the state aid, there's a line that says 22A, and it's 4,000,004, and then 22B is 7,000,004. Well, that adds up to 11,009,000, which is not, last year was 9608 per pupil. So they also, the third factor in that equation is the property tax operating funds that we receive of another 1.4 million. Then that gets us to our grand total of 13,384,000, which is our 9608 per pupil amount. And that number ties in to the enrollment blend. So it's kind of geeked out for a minute, but I just wanted to share that as our enrollment number changes, it really impacts the potential state funding that we're going to receive in this kind of complicated way. I also wanted to highlight that as the numbers changed, we're up 12, down 1, is from our estimated initial enrollment of 1346, that we're looking potentially now, and I used 1359, which was last Monday's number, and it's going to change every day. But we're looking at an increase of $223,000. So I wanted to share that good news after all the bad news about not having a state aid budget or a state budget passed. So I just thought it was kind of a neat thing for me to learn and to finally wrap my head around. And I wanted to share it with the board, and if you guys were ever curious like I was, like how do they calculate that after all? And it takes a whole page to, kind of explain how that works. So, and I also wanted to open up if there's anything else that I can highlight and share school finance, information with you. I'm more than happy to do that. I just thought it'd be fun that as I'm learning that maybe you guys could learn with me, and we could open communication and just kind of understand school finance together. So
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you
Yeah, it's
so
very
much
much.
for doing that.
I would love to have this every meeting.
Yeah, good, me too.
Agreed.
I eat egg and some old or whatever, it's super helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to policy.
That's Katie, Adam, and myself.
Starting with resignations, the Board of Education may agree to a resignation at any time after replacement, if necessary, suitable to the school administration and the board is obtained, provided that the circumstances underlying the resignation or retirement are valid in the opinion of the board and warrant a search for replacement. Erica Pfeiffer has resigned from her position as behavioral specialist at Orchard Primary. Nicole Andre has resigned from her position as lunch and recess aide at Almont Middle School. Mrs. Andre has expressed interest in helping out as needed as a substitute. Alicia Orders has resigned from her position as a special education paraprofessional at Almont Middle School. And Craig Gleason has decided to retire from his position as a paraprofessional at Orchard Primary.
Any questions, anyone? All set.
Moving on to new hires, the Board of Education approves all personnel. Ms. Lewis is happy to recommend Ms. Kaylee Roddy as a special education paraprofessional at Almont Middle School. Kaylee has previously worked for the district and was also part of the LINKS program when attending Almont High School. Mr. Zimmerman is recommending Mr. John Forty as the new varsity softball coach. Coach Forty has many years of coaching and teaching experience in and out of Almont schools and has also been a softball umpire for over 5 years.
Good. All set, thank you.
Thank you. Approval of teacher change in pay. In order to be eligible to advance from one lane on the salary schedule to a higher lane, a teacher must make written proof of the completion of courses and/or degree requirements in the form of an official transcript of credits from the institution from which the credits were earned, a master agreement between the Board of Education and the Almont Education Association. Nicole Cobb is going from BA to a BA plus 18. Ashley Larson is going from a MA to a MA plus 15.
All set, thank you.
Thank you. And then we have our policy third read. The board adopts bylaws and policies for organization and operation of the board and district. Bylaws and policies may be adopted, amended, and repealed at any meeting of the board, provided the proposed adoption, amendment, or repeal shall have been proposed at a previous board meeting and once proposed, shall have remained on the agenda of each succeeding board meeting until approved or rejected. Bylaw 0131.1. To ensure clarity, consistency, and the avoidance of conflicts of interest, the proposed policy outlines the limitations regarding school administrators and members of the Board of Education serving as coaches or club sponsors within Almont Community Schools. This is the third read. The proposed policy, participation of school administrators and Board of Education members in coaching and sponsorship roles. Number one, the provision of new roles. This would be effective whatever date. We're going to insert there. School administrators and members of the Almont Community School Boards. School Board of Education shall not be eligible to serve as coaches or club sponsors for any district-sponsored athletic team or extracurricular club. Number two is a grandfather clause. Any school administrator or board member who is currently serving as a coach or club sponsor as the effective date of this policy shall be grandfathered in and may continue in that role, provided that all regular district expectations and performance standards are met. Number three, exception for vacant positions. If a coaching or club sponsor position remains vacant, a school administrator or board member may be considered for the role. Such an appointment shall only be made upon approval by the Almont Board of Education during a public board meeting.
Do you have any questions?
Well,
This is tabled for now.
Yeah.
Okay, we still need to follow up, just so you know, unfortunately.
Okay.
Because we have embarked on other
Okay.
policies and
Yeah.
following up on a policy just in,
I guess we'll stay on until we do something.
yeah.
Okay.
So in full transparency, we had a policy committee meeting today, but we were embarking on another policy that we need follow-up on. So that's what we were looking at, a 501c3, our district support organizations. So we took some time to do that, so this is still tabled.
can I ask a question on it still, though, or no? Okay, was this from Thune or was this from NOAA? How do we come up with this policy?
This policy here is the one that we were presenting as a new update
Right, but
to the
who
policy.
drafted it?
I drafted
Oh,
it.
okay, thanks for.
Yep, I drafted it,
Question.
and then there were questions or concerns, and there was some more clarification that needs to happen through our policy committee to bring it to the board.
Okay.
And then it has to stay on the agenda until we either pass it or reject it,
Right.
or the board.
Okay, questions and comments from the audience?
Yes. Thank you for sticking around.
Thank you
I'm so
for
sorry.
sticking around.
Oh my gosh.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, all right.
And then
All that time.
I
know. All the time.
So, regarding a question about tournaments and stuff like that, it's a coach's thing, it's not set by the AD. So coaches will set their fee for their tournament, for their match or whatever, okay? And probably whatever the other people are charging would be very comparable to whatever. So that, just FYI. Second, I'm here because classes, right? You have the 18, the 20, the 16, the 12. We offer classes that make our school what it is, okay? We have put together outstanding programs, whether it's art, our AP offerings, all of our electives, our regular gen ed classes that make this a school that people come to, okay? We get students from Allington, K-Pac, Dryden. I mean, they come here because we offer more and our courses are rigorous. So to put a number to say you can't offer it because it's 20, one of the biggest problems is schedule. You can't just go, hey, we want them here. Because we have kids who go to ed tech, okay? You got kids that go to ed tech, the seniors in the morning, the juniors at night, in the afternoon. But then you got some juniors that go in the morning because they do this program, and it makes scheduling those junior, senior classes difficult, where you go, I have to load up here and then a small class here, and you have to offer that. I mean, you can't just go, this blanket sits for everything. If you don't have enough overall, well then maybe you could make some decisions to say, we will squish it down. You do have to offer these classes that people will take the AP classes so they don't go and take it online. If they take it online, that just takes them out of our class, and then we lose this rigor that we've built that the people want to go to. And so I am here to just encourage you to know that they're not scheduling it to go, hey, teachers, you got an easy job, you only got 13. Okay, you teach the same here. It's going to be a hard class with 13, a hard class with 18, a hard class with 33, okay? It's not just this number, oh, no, okay, so okay, I don't get 18, I got 18 in this class, and I put them in this class that I could magically drop them in here, now I got 36 in this class, nothing here, and no one to take it. So now, what am I going to do? I'm going to offer a class for nobody. And so it makes no sense to jam people into a class of 30 who've come from a school where they were in 30. We want a smaller class, and so they come here. And as Mr. Eckert, is that correct? As he said, low class sizes bring people here. People like low class sizes, and I think, to your point, that's a fantastic point. So, that's me bloviating for over my 3 minutes, but I could have gone longer, but I tried to follow your rules. So, anyway.
Get everything out that you wanted to say.
You're actually allowed, since there's no other audience member, you could actually keep going.
Anyone else in the audience? So if I sit over here, I can another 3 minutes. No, I think it's the vein of scheduling, and Sue knows the vein of this because she scheduled with ed tech and the dual enrollments and things of these natures, and it makes the scheduling difficult. So it's not an exact science, and I understand the financial concerns that the board has, and that's a legitimate concern.
But that legitimate concern also has to be weighed by what product do you want, okay? You know, okay, if, you know, what product do you want? Do you want that Chevette school, or do you want, you know, something a little better than a Chevette? You know, and so it's a balance, okay? You know, can we have classes of 4 or 5? No. Can we have classes of 12? You know, that's not ideal, but, you know, if it is in a higher functioning class where those high flyers thrive and they get that AP score and that brings, you know, AP scores to the school, you know, that's a real positive thing. So I just encourage you to not think of it black and white, dollars and cents, but, you know, a balance, right? And it sounds like, you know, we kind of have a balance this year with a little direction for next year, which is fine. But we have to offer those classes that have, you know, have done great for our kids and done great for our district. So, yeah, there.
Thank you for staying.
Well, no, it was good. You know, I appreciate what you guys are doing. So.
Do you have first hour off?
We didn't get very far.
No, you don't.
What's that?
I said, do you have first hour off?
No, I have 6 hour off. You know, so that's all right. I'll get here and, you know, I'll put a movie in tomorrow.
Kidding, right? Thank you, Mr. Fitton. Just kidding.
Any questions or comments from the Board of Education?
Mrs. Smith?
Huh?
Tired? Yeah,
Ms. Pratt.
mine's quick. I want to thank all of you who donated for, when my father passed away, to our Hall of Fame. I was going to write each of you a note, and then I started crying, and I thought I'd get through this a little quicker. So thank you very much. That was very touching to me.
You're very welcome. I know it's not necessary, Ms. Pratt. Any other comments? I have 2. Is everybody almost done? Okay, Kathy, thank you for the dollars and cents. I like that addition to the agenda. I think it's going to be educational, fun, and I look forward to it. So let's do that monthly. It doesn't have to be real long, just something easy. I like that. Mr. Frederick, congratulations on your new addition to your family.
Oh, congratulations.
And, I really want to thank you for all the work that you put into when we had that water issue. I know you were here for the weekend, and I know there was a lot of work and a lot of hours, and I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for getting on top of that and doing everything that you needed to do. So with that, I appreciate that. Anybody else?
I just wanted, yes, again, I guess the highlight would be, again, our student achievement. Again, we have some, you know, troubled areas, if you will, or challenging areas, but I do believe, I'm very confident that the admin and the teachers will work through that. And there's a lot to celebrate in this district. And so I do want to keep my eye on that there's a lot to celebrate. And I'm looking forward to that positivity and pushing out a lot of that, you know, a lot of that communication. And I think we're doing a good job. I really do. I think we're doing a great job. But we do have challenges. I'm aware of that. And so this session was very helpful, and I could go on, but I think I'm just tired and I'm not going to go on. So I'm good. Thank you.
Any future?
Oh,
Mr.
sorry, just one more comment. On that note, the graphing that you had up there was awesome. I like seeing that, but I think if you were to adjust the scaling of it, you'd see that maybe it wasn't that bad. Some of those slides that we had and such, I mean, you look at, if they're not the actual PV, you had like 33.8 to 33.6. It was the slide, but it's not 10 points, it's not 20 points, it's less concerning in some spots.
Okay.
It was just something I had noticed as you were going through the data. I was trying to actually look at the numbers below, and
Okay.
I don't think some of it was as bad as it was. Just because you can blow those graphs also, it looks terrible.
And I will tell you too, we partner with Menetrics, which provides us with those graphs, and we just insert them. Obviously, it's great. So, but thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Future agenda items. Anybody? Mr. Record.
That's not too much.
Sorry.
Can we get on the radar the test works? And I need to have a board consensus because we had the committee meeting and there was like 4 courts or 8 courts I think 8 courts allows us to host a
Tournament.
tournament,
Yes.
but 4 courts, yeah, 8 allows us to host, but 4, we could still host all the local stuff, for like Imlay versus us or whatnot, right? Is that
I think
correct?
8 is the minimum.
So can we not host anything right now at all?
Correct.
So it's only for practice?
Because you need 4 for singles and 4 for doubles.
Right, okay.
And remind me, we have 4 or 6, I can't
We
remember.
have
have 6.
We have 6.
We have
Yes.
6.
Okay, I knew it was 4.
So having 6 tennis courts does us no good at all
No.
for
In
anything
the
other
past,
than
they
practice?
used, there were 2 courts at the old elementary that
Oh,
were,
yeah.
Okay,
At the
and
bells.
so that made 8.
okay.
Yes.
That's how we did it.
I thought when we fixed the tennis courts that we got like a notification that we were hosting something.
No.
Was that just practice?
We had home games.
You're
Yeah.
hosting home.
Maybe
We had home
That's what I'm
games.
asking, like, so like we fix what we have, we can still
Well,
host games,
I thought
right?
it was deemed on.
No, I mean, you're having an overrun where everybody could be playing all at one time.
Okay.
They have the 8 court. Now
Right,
you're having to wait for those 2 final groups to finish up and extended the school day. and-
Less than ideal, for sure.
No,
But
no,
we
yeah.
did sponsor, or we did have teams come
okay,
to play.
But if
okay.
Yes, we
you're,
did.
So like if
if
we
you build
fix
new courts,
what we had,
we would want
We
to.
need 8,
right?
correct.
And on that note,
My goal was,
yeah.
once we kind of got clear of the track project,
Right.
that I was gonna move forward with get some people out here. Some of the questions that I took from our building and site was, is that even a good spot to continue to have it?
Right,
To try to get some of those questions answered. And while I had somebody that was an official person for tennis courts, to kind of feel them out and see if there were other locations that were better, because there's a lot of water over that way. And I think a lot of money into, something that I wouldn't even want to see it fail after 10 years, 12 years. I even want the long haul, I want to spend some money for it, so.
Any other future agenda items?
I'd still like to see the cost breakdown to run a classroom, and if that 20, revisit that 20 number, to see if it's still holds water for it. I don't know how big of a project that is, but.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part though, Mr.
Um,
Eckert, please?
I'd like to revisit that 20 number, just to see if it still holds water for us, if it's still, the magic number, the 20 kids per class.
I think that's fine with yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other future agenda items?
Mrs. Smith,
Mr. Burrow?
I move the Board of Education adjourn the September 16th, 2025 work session at 10 PM.
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? All in favor?